Click nationalappliancewarehouse.com or visit their showroom on 202 in tax-free Wilmington.
Hey, I got to tell you something that speaks to the very core of our values as Americans. And I want to talk to you about a veteran-owned company on a mission to make a real difference in the lives of our military members. Now, I'm talking about Pure Talk, and I love what they're doing. Now, our veterans all gave everything to protect our great nation. Pure Talk understands the sacrifices they have made. Now, they set an ambitious goal. They want to eliminate $10 million in military debt by Veterans Day. But they can't do it alone. They need your help. So, with every person that makes the switch to Pure Talk and their lightning-fast 5G network, they're going to donate a portion of every new order to this noble cause. And you can make a real difference just by choosing superior cell phone service at a better price. Pure Talk's plans start at just $20 a month, offering unlimited talk and text, more data, and mobile hotspot. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword SAVE NOW. That's pound 250, keyword SAVE NOW. Make the switch to Pure Talk and help our vets today.
40 days up to 40 pounds. Say it with me, 40 days up to 40 pounds. Visit njdiet.com or call 855-5NJ-DIET. That's 855-5NJ-DIET. 40 days up to 40 pounds. 40 days up to 40 pounds.
WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. Free speech lives here. It's Kayal and Company on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
And away we go, live on this Wednesday, November 1st. It is indeed Kayal and Company right here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. We are always live on the free Odyssey app and, of course, streaming live for your video viewing pleasure on YouTube as we head until 10 o'clock this morning. 855-839-1210, the phone number. On Twitter and Instagram, the radio station at 1210 WPHT. I am at Nick Kayal. Dawn Stensland with the news. Greg Stocker, the chairman of the board. Daniel Valdez. Anthony Dorenzo. Phil's here as well, as we have a lot to get to this morning, including the great Tony Bruno, live from Florida, at 8:25 this morning. Hello, Dawn.
Hey, good morning. Happy Wednesday.
Was trick-or-treat good to you?
It was.
Gregory?
So I'm walking down the street yesterday, trick-or-treating with my son.
What was he dressed as?
Spider-Man. And we got halfway down the street. He was like, yeah, I'm bored with trick-or-treating. I want to go back home.
At 6:13?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, he made it like 6:35 or 6:40 or something. That's not the funny part. The funny part is that I'm walking down the street and somebody goes, "Tell Kayal it's not a truck."
Oh, no way.
Yep.
That's so funny.
Tell Kayal it's not a truck.
Yeah.
All right. That's how we're going to start. All right. All right. I'll let the fine folks at Piazza know they gave me something less than a truck. All right. I got you. Good to know.
Yeah.
Cancel Halloween. That's it. Enough of it.
No more Halloween.
No more Halloween.
Yeah.
Greg's kid doesn't like it. People want to insult me to my boss.
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem with Halloween, at least for little kids, is that he's done trunk or treat. He's done Boo at the Zoo. He did a Halloween parade yesterday.
Yeah.
In the morning.
It's overdone.
By 6 o'clock last night, he's like, "Yeah, I've done Halloween. Like
Yeah.
it's over now."
Right.
It's kind of exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like doing the family rounds for Christmas or Thanksgiving if you go to 2 or 3 different houses.
Yes.
And you're like, you know what? I can't eat anymore.
Yeah.
I'm full.
He's had enough turkey.
I agree.
Enough turkey. No more mashed potatoes.
Let me take my nap.
We've sanitized Halloween. Like, Halloween is supposed to be one day of the year.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to go out,
It's
get
true.
all the candy you can on October 31st.
Yep.
And be done with it.
Yep.
And now they're like, every weekend there's another Halloween thing.
Greg Stocker's telling America that Halloween has jumped the shark.
I didn't say that.
Here we go. A lot of good things to get to this morning. A big take on Joe Biden and his emails. Hillary, hold Joe's beer. He's got you covered there as well. And also the governor of New Jersey, Mr. Phil Murphy, apparently using taxpayer dollars to see Taylor Swift. Okay.
I thought it was Sailor Twift.
You Sailor Twift. You know, we had an NFL Sunday where we didn't have Taylor Swift. But no, don't worry. We'll bring it back to you in the news in the form of Governor Phil Murphy. So that's coming up this morning. Also, an anti-woke water that is for sale. We'll
What?
get to that, yes.
Oh.
Anti-woke water. I never come up with these ideas. I just see them, I'm liking them, and then I never profit from any of it. And also, it took 3.5 years, but New York Magazine has officially said that lockdowns were an experiment that failed with the COVID-19 pandemic.
I love that article.
We are going to get to that because that stems all the way back to the Bush days when GW was at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Plus, Tony Bruno, loaded cut sheet, all sorts of goodies along the way. But before we get to all of that, let's get to the news. There's a lot of it. Round number one, 6:05, the great Dawn Stensler.
Yes, good morning. This first day of November. And by the way, freeze warnings going into effect tonight. So the full forecast coming up. Sadly and tragically, Halloween turned deadly for a local suburban teenager after gunfire rang out during a large fight in Bucks County, Bensalem, Pennsylvania. Happened about 7:30 last night around Bristol Pike and Woodbine Avenue. Police say that they were called to the scene for reports of a large group of teenagers, and some of them had started some kind of a fight or an argument. When police arrived, by the time they got there, shots had rang out. They found 3 victims, a 14-year-old among them. That's the kid who died, and we don't have the identities of these kids. The other 2 teens, 17 and 19, are in stable condition this morning. It looks like they will survive the gunshot injuries, but that 14-year-old pronounced dead. They rushed him to the hospital, and doctors there could not save the 14-year-old's life.
Do we know if this was like a fight over something trick-or-treat related? I mean, as sad as that might be.
Yeah, apparently it was some kind of a Halloween party. Then they went outside. Then it sounded like a squabble.
Okay.
We don't know if it was, we don't know what happened because the single gunman who opened fire from the vehicle sped off. And so they're trying to get the surveillance imaging and, get that person. So they're just not sure. Was this, in all of these, Nick, we talk about it. Was it something that was personal? Was it somebody that was targeting somebody? Was it something over social media?
Right. Are they fighting over the last Twix bar? I mean, we just don't know in this day and age.
Gosh.
Yeah.
And then Philadelphia police looking for a vehicle involved in a deadly hit and run early this morning in the Kensington section of Philadelphia. So police say the 33-year-old victim was crossing the street at East Lehigh Avenue and Emerald Street this morning when this individual was struck and then dragged about 400 feet. And so this was a pedestrian trying to cross the street. And Chief Inspector Scott Smalls speaking out about this early this morning, saying the victim ended up further down the block, closer to Jasper Street, and then died at the scene due to these injuries. So this morning they're describing the vehicle as a dark-colored SUV, possibly a Cadillac Escalade, and they're pointing out it would have some broken parts, some damage to the grille, to the front end damage, but saying that driver needs to turn himself or herself in. They could be facing vehicular homicide charges.
Wow, 400 feet? That's 130 plus yards. That's a football field plus of being taken along for that ride. Oh, man.
Horrible scene there. So for police investigating that one. We'll talk this morning about some headlines, some disturbing and concerning headlines. Temple students on campus, as many as 3 of these armed at muggings at gunpoint. So no students injured, thankfully. They gave up their wallets and their phones and that sort of thing. At least 3 of these different incidents over the past 24 or 30 hours. And so there's concern as, the crime in and around Temple's campus is, as we've talked about, is a real problem.
Continuing to make us Temple alums proud on a daily basis. Yeah, I wear my cherry and my white with pride.
And yes, we are expecting news from the Fed. So the Federal Reserve started meeting yesterday, is expected to hold a news conference after lunchtime today, maybe at 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock or lunchtime, late lunch type announcement. But it appears by all accounts that the Fed is expected to hold rates for at least 6 weeks. So kind of holding that one. And then the next time they're going to meet is in December. So we'll see if they raise interest rates, Bidenomics.
I was thinking another 0.25%, Don. What do you think? How's a 0.25% sound to you?
Right before Christmas?
Yeah, just in time.
December?
Yeah.
And yes, we'll talk about New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy owing $12,000 in taxpayer money. Wow, for all the food and drinks at MetLife Stadium, including Nick Kayal's good friend, Sailor Twift.
And we have precedent of this happening for New Jersey governors because
Sloppy Chris Christie.
he was known to do this back in the day as well.
Yeah, what did he spend? $82,000 in M&Ms.
Yeah.
Those peanut M&Ms in a box.
And nachos with cheese.
And so we do have some sports news today as well. Real quick here, obviously our Philadelphia Eagles, it's Dallas week. So walk through today, we can expect that. And then Philadelphia's Joel Embiid fined $35,000 by the NBA for repeatedly making an obscene gesture
Yes, he
during
was.
the Sixers' victory against
amazing.
the
He was
Trailblazers.
like Greg Stocker and I in 1998 walking around classroom halls. If you've seen the crotch chop that he does,
$35,000.
he's such a little infant.
So worth it.
I know.
So worth it.
The face of the process is basically 31 going on 13. I love that guy.
So Joe Dumars making the announcement last night. The reference was that he was making 4 WWE-style crude chops that sent the crowd into a frenzy on Sunday.
Yeah, down to his man region.
To his Netherlands.
Or as
there.
that California doctor would say, towards his Audi.
Oh, gosh. That's right. We do have the NBC 10 first alert forecast this morning. Unseasonably chilly weather moving through over the next several days. But remember, we will start a warm-up starting on Friday, so we just have to get through the next actually couple of mornings here. So the freeze warning goes into effect tonight. So depending on where you are, especially in the Lehigh Valley, we're talking potential freezing temperatures. Right now, 44 degrees is, and the high today, just 50 degrees today, with these freeze warnings going into effect this evening, overnight, into tomorrow morning. So when we come in tomorrow morning as well, another very chilly morning. So today it's 50, tomorrow just 51. Bright sunny days, no measurable rain at all through Sunday. But Friday we start that warm up again, more seasonable temperature wise. 60 degrees for Friday, then Saturday 63. By Sunday 65 degrees. So the sunshine continues, but these freeze warnings, if you've been planting any tender vegetation, those cute little pepper plants, with the red and purple peppers.
Oh, yeah.
Things of that nature. You want to maybe cover up or protect your tenders.
Is this going to be one of those mornings where you have to go out and start the car in the defroster like 10 minutes before you leave?
Well, I think so.
Oh, jeez.
I believe so.
I hate days like that. God, I hate that. Especially at 4:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But
I know.
it's a me problem. It's an us problem.
Nick, it could be as low as 26 degrees overnight.
Right.
So that's the warning from the National Weather Service. And this is Kayal and Company News Live.
All right, Dawn, thank you very much. We'll warm up at 8:25 with Tony Bruno, but right now it's time for a midweek Big Take.
The Big Take on Kayal and Company.
Okay, the Big Take this morning, Hillary, hold Biden's beer. Democrats have a lot in common, don't they? Joe Biden and Gavin Newsom both have trouble standing on their own 2 feet. Joe will fall off of a bike. Gavin will fall playing basketball against kids in China. Hillary Clinton had a ton of emails, and Joe Biden had a ton of emails. They really do stick to the same playbook, don't they? For those of you who may have forgotten, Hillary Clinton claimed she had 0 classified emails on her server, but we now know, of course, that's not true at all. The Justice Department years ago concluded that in their report, she had 193 emails that were classified that were sent to or from her server. Hillary was investigated by the FBI for holding classified information on her private email server at home, but FBI Director James Comey at the time said publicly that Clinton mishandled classified documents, but he declined to recommend prosecution, and the Justice Department declined to move forward because, well, she's a Clinton and she's a Democrat. And then here comes Joe Biden, who is telling Hillary Clinton to hold his beer. According to the latest report and breaking news within the last 24 hours, Joe Biden exchanged up to 82,000 pages of emails under different pseudonyms while serving as vice president, according to a lawsuit. According to the National Archives, Joe sent or received 82,000 pages worth of private emails while serving under Obama. This according to the conservative organization. Per the New York Post, here are some of the details. The archives revealed that the trove of correspondence spanned all 8 years of Biden's vice presidency and included messages to or from 3 shadow email addresses, and they are robinware456@gmail.com, jrbware@gmail.com, and some guy named robert.l.peters@pci.gov, according to a joint filing with the Georgia-based Southeastern Legal Foundation. Quote, the fact that as vice president, Joe Biden sent 82,000 pages of emails from alias email addresses is shocking, Southeastern Legal Foundation General Counsel Kimberly Herman told the Post, saying, quote, the American public has a right to know what is in those emails. SLF remains hopeful that now that we have confirmed that the emails exist, NARA will fulfill its legal obligation and produce them in a timely and transparent manner. So, logically, I think any inquisitive or curious mind would want to know who the heck is Robin Ware, who is JRB Ware, and who is Robert L. Peters? And why would the vice president at the time have essentially 3 burner email accounts? And what would require you to exchange so many emails that you burn through 82,000 pages? It's probably a bunch of nothing, right? How's the weather? How about the Mets? Of course. I mean, Joe's the poorest man in Congress. Remember? He's told us that many times. And Joe was never involved in Hunter's business dealings, right? Well, here's a montage of Joe's denials and a little bit from Sean Hannity and a guest of his last night on what lies ahead for the House-led GOP. Listen and watch.
I never discussed a single thing with my son about anything having to do with Ukraine.
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings.
I don't know what he was doing. I did not know he was on the board of that company. I've never discussed my business or their business, my sons or daughters. I have never discussed with my son or my brother or anyone else anything having to do with their businesses, period.
They have over 82,000 emails that were connected. Remember those 3 pseudonym Joe Biden accounts, the ones he used as vice president? That's not all.
Yeah, let's start with the FOIA request. So Southeastern Legal Foundation has been representing us doing this work. All we know so far is the total number. The archives have not delivered a single email to us yet, so we still have a long fight ahead of us. But just to put it in perspective, 82,000 pages is 27,000 more pages than Hillary Clinton ended up turning over when they recovered all of her emails during the 2016 scandal. So Joe Biden is in danger of supplanting Hillary Clinton as the king of private government emails. And so we're going to be digging in. We expect a lot of these emails to involve Hunter Biden. We've seen a few on the laptop. We've talked to other people who know they corresponded with the Vice President Joe Biden back in the Obama years on these email addresses. A lot of news ahead in the weeks. And I think one of the things to watch is whether Congress goes out and subpoenas these emails and compels the National Archives to release these emails.
Speaking of Hunter Biden, we will get to the latest with potential criminal activity with the president's son coming up at the bottom of the hour. But 82,000 pages, that's way more than the 33,000 emails that Hillary Clinton deleted in 2014. Remember, Hillary said, quote, I deleted some emails over time as any ordinary user would do. The 30,000 plus emails deleted equated to approximately 55,000 pages, which is still 27,000 pages less than Joe Biden. If Trump were deleting emails, he'd be indicted a 5th time for killing too many trees. So what is the tie-in with Joe and these emails? Well, the New York Post reports the following. At least 10 such emails were sent between May 18th and June 15th of 2016 and CC'd first son Hunter Biden, with one on May 26th notifying Hunter of a scheduled phone call the next day between the vice president and Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko. The first son's abandoned laptop shows. The laptop from hell, as Trump would say. So if there was emails with Ukraine coming from one of Joe's burners, is it fair then to even ponder whether or not more emails were sent from Robert Peters or Robin Ware to perhaps Romania? And what about China? The Southeastern Legal Foundation sued the National Archives in August as part of a Freedom of Information Act request to determine the degree to which Biden discussed government affairs with his son and others. That same month, if you recall, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer also demanded that the archives turn over unredacted copies of the former vice president's pseudonyms and correspondence involving his son. On September 12th, just about 7 weeks ago, House Republicans began an impeachment inquiry into the president, which will determine whether Biden, in his former or his current role, either abused his office or benefited from his son's overseas business dealings. And congressional Republicans this year have revealed the existence of a confidential FBI file from a credible source alleging that Zlochevsky also paid a $10 million bribe to the now president and his son amid Shokin's probe. So, as you can see, House Republicans and other groups are beginning, or once again continuing, to connect all of the dots here of this intricate plot by the Biden family to use their name and influence for the sake of lining their pockets. The parties have asked U.S. District Judge Lee Martin May to order a joint status report deadline, which is actually just about 5 weeks away, coming up on December the 8th. And as one of my favorite legal scholars, Jonathan Turley, writes, he says the following: what is now clear and emerging is that the Bidens have a pattern of influence peddling, which has turned into the equivalent of the family's personal savings and loan operation. We have various transactions labeled as loans, which go to various family members, which not only offer plausible deniability, but non-taxable income. From Chuck Grassley to the IRS whistleblowers to James Comer, it's all there for the American public to see. But is the American public seeing this? And is anybody outraged by it? Does anybody care? And as it crystallizes even further, as each month goes by, burner phones, burner email accounts, these are all the standard things people do when they are operating on the up and up or trying to avoid detection. And that's the big take.
The Big Take on Kayal and Company.
All right, big take this morning. If you want to jump in, your thoughts, your reaction, maybe you have 3 burner email addresses as well. 855-839-1210, the phone number, on Twitter and Instagram at 1210WPHT. Or, of course, you could be a part of the Kayal and Company comment community. Just go to youtube.com/@1210WPHT to hit the like and subscribe button. We've got more details on Joe and Hunter, including $200,000 that lands in Joe's lap just 2 days after a couple of long-distance phone calls. I'm sure it's just another personal loan from family member to family member, but we'll try to make sense of it when we come back as we continue. It's a Wednesday morning. It's Kayal and Company, Nick, Dawn, and Greg on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Hey, it's John Marks. Join me and Brent Selleck this Saturday at Ambler Beverage Exchange for WIP's Tailgate Tour, sponsored by Miller Lite. Tailgate games, prizes, and register for WIP's Ultimate Home Gating Giveaway. Me and Brent Selleck watching a game at your house, a Weber Grill, 55-inch TV courtesy of Gerhard's Appliances, and celebrity chef Chad Rosenthal from the Lucky Well cooking at your home and cooking on Saturday. It's this Saturday at Ambler Beverage Exchange with me and Brent Selleck. Go to 94WIP.com. It tastes like Miller time, Philadelphia. Celebrate responsibly.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-990-3434. 800-990-3434. 800-990-3434.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
A large fight turned into a deadly shooting in Bensalem. 1 teenager is dead and 2 others are shot. The Israeli Defense Forces take responsibility for a massive blast at a refugee camp in Gaza. The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry says 52 people were killed. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott secures a spot in the 3rd GOP debate.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
My name is Tom DeBello, and I am here to take a sledgehammer to the excessive spending in Montgomery County as your next county commissioner. If you're fed up, tired, and had enough of your hard-earned money being spent on their projects to enrich themselves and their friends, then help me help you. Together, we can bring back strong, experienced leadership to Montgomery County. Vote Tom DeBello for Montgomery County Commissioner on November 7th. This ad is paid for by friends of Tom DeBello.
For all of you who love to cook Italian, here's a mouth-watering message from Cento.
Baked lasagna, manicotti, clam sauce with linguine, chicken parmigiana, and tuna capellini, gnocchi alla rosa sauce, pomodoro frittata, pappardelle, perciatelli, pasta caponata.
How do you give those dishes authentic old-world flavor? Authentic Italian cooking begins with Cento. Cento for taste that sings. Cento. Trust your family with our family.
Quarterback Jalen Hurts here for Window Nation, the best team for window replacements. They've drawn up the game-winning plan for you to save on new windows.
Call us today. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and for a limited time, get 0% interest for 60 months.
You'll receive installation by pros dedicated to perfect execution. Huddle up with Window Nation today.
Take advantage of the buy 2, get 2 free offer, plus get 0% interest for 60 months. Call 866-90-NATION or go online at windownation.com. That's 866-90-NATION or windownation.com.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I have a serious heart condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, or HCM. Some symptoms include being short of breath, feeling tired, or having dizziness or chest pain. I still had symptoms on my beta blocker, so I asked my cardiologist about any treatment advances. It was a breakthrough for me. That's why I'm working with Bristol-Myers Squibb to raise awareness about HCM and to help others like me. Talk to your cardiologist today. You may be glad you did.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb.
Hey, Riverton. We know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Kayal and Company, 626. I don't think the Bidens give a damn about their reputation either. They're just going to keep sending emails, sending texts, placing phone calls on WhatsApp messengers, and funneling funds to family members, allegedly. 855-839-1210. As we continue live here on a Wednesday morning. Cut sheet at 7:45, Tony Bruno at 8:25, and all sorts of good stuff as we continue today. You know, I thought it was interesting. And honestly, I tried to pay attention to Fox a little bit yesterday. Even Fox did not cover the Joe Biden 82,000 pages of emails as much as I thought that they would. I watched my favorite show yesterday at my favorite time. I won't name it because Greg gets mad and Zioli hates that I'm not listening to him for 4 straight hours. But they didn't even talk about it on that show, Dawn.
If you're home, you can always
That's correct.
watch the visuals so you can see
Yeah.
like Judge Janine and Dana's pretty legs.
Yeah. Well, the judge was off yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Katie Pavlich was in. Not that I even know that. But like, the fact
watch
that,
them, listen to Zioli on the Odyssey app.
There you go. You know, I know CNN won't cover it. I know MSNBC won't cover it. I was surprised that Fox, and I saw a little bit of Hannity where they discussed it for all of about 4 minutes. And I'm just thinking to myself, when we think about these emails, we have these phone calls. I know, Dawn, you have 2 Twitters, none of which are burner accounts. I know Greg and myself have an Odyssey email and like a Yahoo or a Gmail personal email. Neither are burners. Our names are in those emails as well. And I know I certainly don't have 82,000 or 33,000 emails or pages of emails that are just stockpiled that need to be deleted. Like, I'm one of these guys that if I see 3 emails sitting in my inbox that I don't need, I'll lose my mind if I don't delete them and get them out of my system, because I'll sit there and look at my phone and see I have notifications, and that drives me insane. So this is why I think it is so important that Republicans took back the House, because as they say, it's unclear, and to be fair, it is unclear what topics are covered in most of the emails or who else was looped in on the messages. But the American public does have a right to know. And that's why winning back the House is so important, because you can have these committees, you can have these investigations, and you have the almighty subpoena power. Like, I want people subpoenaed. Like, I'm going to be, and I get it, this will probably amount to jack squat as far as anybody actually facing real consequences and real punishments. But like, I want people to sweat. I want people on the stand. I want people having to be forced to testify before Congress under oath so that at worst I can get people on perjury and then say, aha, well, you said under oath this, yet here I have this document that claims otherwise, and then see these people made a fool of. Because we saw the way it was from 2017 through 2020, and still now in 21, 22, 23, and 24 with the other guy. So I want this guy held to the fire, so to speak. And I'm looking at all of this, and I'm just thinking, it doesn't add up here. Robert Ware, Robert Peters, what were some of these other email addresses? Robin Ware 456, JRB Ware, 2 Gmails, and then some random government account, robert.l.peters at pci.gov. What was wrong with Joe's White House email? Like joe.biden at whitehouse.gov. Why is he not using that email account? Why is he not using joebiden at gmail.com? Why is he creating 3 different ones with 82,000 pages where conveniently money just seems to show up in Biden family checking accounts just like a few days after certain telephone calls and text messages exchanged? I don't think you have to be like Ben Matlock here to figure this one out. It's pretty obvious here, but yet we're still kind of weeding through all of this at a real slow, monotonous pace.
And so I have so many questions about this because obviously it's not illegal, to have, if I created a Gmail at, I don't know, Buddy Boy at Odyssey or like
Buddy Boy
456
at yahoo.com.
or something. Yeah, but the fact that the emails, as you said, that were pertaining to Hunter's, foreign business dealings and family business dealings, and those were parsed out. And even that one of them was a .gov, as you said.
Right.
And so that's weird, too. It's not just a random made up a Gmail.
That's correct.
Then it's a .gov.
And I don't know what at PCI.gov means. I don't know what the PCI stands for, but it's some governmental website. So I would really like to know if there is an actual real Robert L. Peters out there that works for the government. That would be one of my first questions, so we can kind of rule out the fact that maybe Joe was using somebody else's real email account, so to speak.
I mean, so I'm looking it up, and there are a bunch of them, but the first one that pops up, PCI Government Services, a small disadvantaged business providing tech professional services in support of U.S. federal agencies.
Oh. So
that's kind of odd.
So Joe's kind of connected with some techie people.
PCI.gov.com,
Okay.
but it's specifically for disadvantaged business.
Okay.
I don't know what that even
No
means.
idea.
Capabilities, handicaps.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I have more questions about this, but I think the Biden administration would say, well, 82,000 pages. There's nothing illegal here. It's not illegal to have a phony email. But to your point, thank God the Republicans can have the subpoena power, control the House, so that they can just promote transparency.
That's correct. That is correct. And speaking of transparency, this is an exclusive. I got to tell you, the Daily Mail has quickly become like one of my favorite websites as far as the way they can just unearth all sorts of stuff. They have more exclusives than Fox, than the New York Post. They do a tremendous job.
It's all owned by the same company, dude.
Daily Mail's owned by them?
Yeah.
It's I did not know that.
It's Fox News.
It's British, isn't it?
New York Post and Daily Mail are all under the Murdoch empire.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Did not know
that's why
that.
you will always see basically the same stories on all 3 sites.
Oh.
But Daily Mail takes they take some liberties, if you will.
And they're based over in London or something like that?
So I guess, do they not have the FCC, or they don't have some of the American regulations?
Maybe
I
not.
don't know.
I did not know that. But they had an exclusive where it says that Hunter Biden was billed hundreds of dollars for mysterious mystery overseas calls made by his father, Joe Biden, just days before the president received a $200,000 check from his brother. In AT&T emails, this is the thing I think some of these people are just so oblivious to, or maybe they just don't give a damn, but these things are logged, right? So an AT&T email from February 2018 notified Hunter Biden that more than $300 had been racked up in international charges on a phone that was linked to Dad Joe. At the time of the foreign phone calls, Joe was still listed as a key card holder for Hunter's shared office with his business partners in Washington, D.C., and the alert came just days before the president received $200,000 from his brother, Jim Biden, who got the funds from his healthcare business, which we know is AmeriCorps. And there's a couple of interesting things here, and they've got the screenshot of the email. It says, "Dear Jay Biden, this is a courtesy message. We just want to let you know that you have exceeded $300 in international data overseas charges and overage usage fees. Your data service may be interrupted if usage continues, blah, 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 blah. Thank you for choosing AT&T." Now, the flurry of foreign calls also took place just 2 days after some highly suspicious text messages between Hunter and his Chinese oil giant business partner discussing developmental projects to join the benefit of both my home and yours. DailyMail.com had previously reported on emails revealing that Hunter was paying for Joe's phone line plus over a dozen other unexplained lines in addition to phones for his daughters, costing at least $1,200 a month. So we have over a dozen phone lines, 3 different email addresses, all of which are dubious in nature, and 82,000 pages worth of emails. You tie in Joe, you tie in Hunter, James Biden, the shell companies, the amount of money from $200,000 all the way up to $10 million from Ukraine. And this to me just screams pay for play, influence peddling. And Jonathan Turley makes a really good point, by the way. You can benefit and profit off of your name. That's not illegal. But when you are not paying your taxes on that and it's coming in as non-taxed income, that's against the law, right? So there are things here that the Bidens are doing that may be unethical, that are not morally the right thing to do. And then there's also things that are criminally illegal that the Bidens are trying to skirt around. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And to be honest, not many people are talking about it. So 855-839-1210.
Not many people are talking about it, which means it's not going to do anything in the election cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Correct.
No charges or anything will be brought up against him. So it's kind of just like, yep, we know this is here and nothing is going to happen.
Because
so it doesn't, like, it's interesting to talk about, and like people know that he's corrupt and the Biden family is
Allegedly.
corrupt, but it is nothing. If they had something, if they had some smoking gun,
right,
they would have released it by now.
Mm-hmm.
They just would have. I'm sorry. Like, I hate to be Debbie Downer at 6:37 in the morning.
No, you're not being Debbie Downer. It's true. I know it's a charade.
It's the truth.
I get it.
And that's why I think we're careful to say it all looks bad, and they are methodically going through everything. They're going through 82. It takes time to investigate.
Sadly,
these
all
things.
of this does take time. And I know it's a process, and we get tired of waiting. But like, if you've ever been in any of these types of legal proceedings where you've got how many people working on it, and just how voluminous all the data is.
Have any of these hearings amounted to anything? No.
No. And you have subpoena power. I don't want like the low level people. Like, I want Hunter on the stand. I want Joe.
But they're
on the
not
stand.
ready. That you don't want them yet because you want
It's never going to happen. Either.
So what they're
You're
doing
probably
is, but what they do is, so they get these 82,000. They scour through them. Then it leads them to another phony account. That's how they got all the SARS accounts, and they got these accounts. So it's easier to get Liz Cheney and company to put on a show, Showtime, folks, and let's put on a show and get a Hollywood producer. That's not what this is. They have to methodically look through this.
All right, let me ask you guys this. If the Democrats really don't want Joe Biden anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's everybody's talking about his age, his age, his age.
Correct.
Wouldn't they be the first ones waving the flag to try and get him out?
Yes, but I think they are in a way of basically,
though.
But in a way of not saying like, "Hey, we're done with the guy." They're not saying it publicly, but I mean, we've seen stuff being leaked to the New York Times and the Washington Post.
But this is the perfect way to get this done.
Not yet, though. Not yet.
Okay.
You gotta.
All right.
You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
Do they have a date in mind where they officially finally throw Joe under the bus to slide Gavin right in there?
They're so sneaky. I think they do, but I think they don't want to do it too soon.
Like what? Maybe Memorial Day of next year, like somewhere in that stretch where we're coming down the stretch run when the Republican primary is wrapping up, and then all of a sudden, here comes Gavin Newsom.
I guarantee you, they've looked at, to your point, to both of your points, they've looked at all. They probably met here in Philadelphia. They always meet here. They look at all the protocols, they look at all the laws, they look at all the deadlines, but I have no doubt that they have a contingency, and so of somebody who would run, and because then they would run, and then Kamala would be the president, she'd be running again too, so they would go after her, right?
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, I'm sure they have a plan B, C, and D, and I'm sure they don't want it. To Greg's point, I don't think they want to do it right now.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to give Republicans too much time to react.
That's true. The unexpected element of surprise, so to speak.
I'm going to mark this date down on the calendar,
Right.
and
November 1st.
And I'm telling you, we're going to be having this exact same conversation. Be like, oh, look, here's the smoking gun. Here it is, and nothing will come of it. I don't
think there is a smoking gun.
I've
yet.
seen this play out many times, and there's nothing there.
Yeah.
There's just no. Let me just say this. When I say there's nothing there, I don't mean there's no corruption there. There's corruption there.
Sure.
Without a doubt there is. But I'm just saying they don't have enough.
Yeah. You've seen this song and dance.
Yes, exactly.
I got you. And I'm the same way as well. It's just you don't have to be a rocket scientist to look at the chain of events here that's going on to say, boy, I mean, you want to talk about – and no wonder why Joe lives a lavish lifestyle. Like, it's so blatantly obvious, but again – we still need, and I understand the process takes time. Like if some of these House Republicans reach out to, one of these banks to inquire about these transactions, I mean, it might take 3 days for the bank to get back to them. So like this stuff really does take time. It's not like they can just get everything by 5 o'clock today and hey, look what we have,
And you said National Archives, so they have to request it. Then they request more. Then they, you know what I mean? They're going back. They have to negotiate with National Archives. They have to and they have to subpoena some things.
Yeah.
These are financial records. They're in the National Archives. They have to find them. And so to me, they're doing it in a responsible, professional manner. It is methodical and it is boring and everybody wants the smoking gun. To me, they're doing what you're supposed to do. And look, the President of the United States.
Yeah.
If they end of the day, I hope to God that it's not worse than anybody thought. I hope, you know what I mean? Like it's a horrible thing for America to see all this hot mess.
Yeah.
So
you're right.
But they need to have transparency. And you know what I have to say? Why do we have to wait for one or the other party to see this kind of muck in the bottom of the swamp? We should always have transparency.
I agree. MAGA Man says Greg Stocker is 100% correct. How about that? MAGA Man in agreement with Stocker after calling yesterday to say saw 2 on caller 595.
That was the best moment.
That was hilarious.
So
By the way,
fun.
people are still talking about that from yesterday.
People are still talking about it.
Unbelievable.
It was unbelievable, really. Yeah.
It's the greatest segment ever.
I just feel like they've been tickling our what with a feather for the last 2 years, and nothing has happened. And I don't foresee anything happening.
You're right.
Before the election.
Yep.
I just don't.
I agree.
And if they would have had something, they would have brought it to the American public by now. I just believe that.
855-839-1210 if you would like to jump in. Have you ever used taxpayer dollars to take in Taylor Swift for that matter? We'll get to that story and what the governor of New Jersey is doing and has done in the past, and the history and the precedent of being the governor in New Jersey with this tactic as we wrap up hour number 1 of Kayal and Company next.
You're invited to witness a groundbreaking documentary, America's Retirement Dilemma, a documentary of Wall Street's rigged system, featuring powerful exclusive interviews such as the top regulator over Wall Street, the Inspector General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, H. David Kotz, who indicates how Wall Street is rigged.
In the federal government, management is often a big challenge. Get the manager to do the right thing. It's a great concern.
The Chief Accountability Officer over the federal government, the United States Comptroller General, David Walker, further explaining the dilemma facing all Americans.
If we have another recession, the federal government doesn't have any more tools in its toolbox.
Hear these experts and more exclusive interviews with powerful industry leaders, esteemed economists, and top researchers at the Spring Mill Manor, November 14th. Registration is required. 1-800-722-9728 or crashproofretirement.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit, hims.com/joy.
Just picture this. We're sipping a limoncello from the balcony, savoring the sunset beyond the Isle of Capri. I'm talking southern Italy here. It really is an escape and a trip of a lifetime that I can't wait for. The Amalfi Coast, Positano, Sorrento, Capri. Join me and my family next spring as we discover the wonderful sights in southern Italy with my friends from Conservative Tours. And nobody does it better than Conservative Tours. Trust me, the Abbey of Monte Cassino, Pompeii, enough time, of course, to see all the great sites, the ancient sites in Rome as well, all while enjoying a gastronomical event for 12 awesome days of touring. Olive oil production, a mozzarella farm, wineries, tasting sessions galore. The group dining events they're known for are just legendary, just as Dom and Ro Giordano. $52.67. Yes, that includes the airfare, nonstop while supplies last. You can go to conservativetours.com. You'll see my picture. Yes, my husband, Larry Menti, Michael and David, the boys. They can't wait. They're asking me every day, when is this? When are we going? When are we going? I can't wait. I can smell the lemon groves outside my hotel window in Sorrento. You can call toll-free 888-733-9494. By the way, Italy's best-kept secret, Puglia. Charming villages, unparalleled cuisine. See why so many Italians, the locals, take their vacations in Puglia. Just picturesque and unspoiled. Authentically Italian. 888-733-9494. Go to conservativetours.com. Let's do this. Next spring, Southern Italy. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Be sure to follow Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
It is Kayal and Company as we continue live here on a Wednesday morning. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. October in the books, November officially underway. Tony Bruno's coming up at 8:25 this morning. The cut sheet 1 hour from now. Phil Murphy, Taylor Swift in just a moment. But one last thing on the Biden front here. I actually was curious about the Biden student loan repayment plan. I have a few payments that are left, and I saw the commercial for it yesterday with student loan debt forgiveness, and it sounds so great. And by the way, if you're gonna leech and be a mooch and bail on your payments and make other people pay your tab, I think you're incredibly lame. But I called the number yesterday just to do a little digging. And it is such a scam as far as for anybody listening right now. You have to qualify in one of 2 or 3 areas to get there's 2 programs, by the way. There's like a debt reduction program, which you get a smaller payment per month, or it can be completely forgiven. To get it completely forgiven, you need to be working in the public sector for a nonprofit or a governmental agency, right? And I think that would include, like, if you're working for the township or the city, and you work in, like, you're a laborer, things like that. You repave roads or whatever, like something like that would qualify. Or you have to have had the loans for 20 to 25 years. So by my math, I would not have qualified if I tried to get out of it, because I've only been out of college for 17 stinking years. So, like, this whole thing, and look, they're forgiving a lot of people, over 51,000 borrowers, and the education department is estimating that they will be forgiving $2.8 billion in loans. But I just wanted to share that quickly because October was the month where the payments, because I just made my student loan payment for like $143 for the month. They just restarted back up again. So, like, all that pandemic stuff where they paused it for everybody, now you're back to it unless you qualify in one of those categories, if you're actually looking for somebody else to pick up the check, so to speak.
What about credit card debt?
I don't know. I didn't think about that.
That's like a loan. Why don't they forgive some of that?
That would be
Macy's
nice.
card.
That would be nice. Would that make me a hypocrite if I do that after talking about not paying your student loan debt? Because you basically are bumping the tab to somebody else to pick up a lot of this stuff. Like, oh, it's free. No, the government ain't picking up any of it. It's the other taxpayers that are picking it up. So
it's basic. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's basically, what did Obama say? And Joe the plumber got all upset. I mean, basically, like, transferring the wealth, redistributing.
Yeah, redistribution plan.
That's all this is, really.
That's correct.
Right?
That is correct. All right, let's get to Mr. Phil Murphy, the governor of New Jersey. And this is on foxnews.com. The headline reads, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy used thousands in taxpayer funds to party at a Taylor Swift concert, stadium events, and others, so says this report. Phil Murphy is asking the state Democratic Party to reimburse taxpayers after he used $12,000 in state funds at a Taylor Swift concert and other stadium events. Murphy's expenditures, first reported by Politico, were all for food and drinks at MetLife Stadium, which is the big football stadium in the Meadowlands where the Giants and the Jets play. When confronted with the spending, Murphy's office reportedly said it was asking the state Democratic Party to pay back the state. Murphy's office says it had always expected the state party to cover the costs, but noticed it had failed to do so. Can we just, by the way, have you been going through, you know what? We noticed we failed to do it. The governor's office then dipped into a $95,000 personal expense account set up for their office. That account is set to pay for, quote, official receptions, official residence, and other official expenses, and cannot be used for, quote, personal purposes, according to Politico. Quote, once it was clear that there was outstanding bills that had not been paid, the state stepped up to meet this responsibility. Murphy spokeswoman Jennifer Sciortino told the outlet in a statement, quote, we are pursuing reimbursement from the state party for costs incurred at MetLife Stadium. Now, this is nothing new. This is not just a Phil Murphy thing. This is probably not just a D thing, because former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, technically a Republican, ran into a similar issue when he served as governor. Christie, however, had the state Republican Party reimburse roughly $82,000 spent at MetLife Stadium. So how do we feel about this? Because if it's an R, maybe we're probably not so triggered by it, although we probably all agree that both sides are corrupt. But yet here it is, Phil Murphy. And just when I thought, Dawn, I could go a week in my life or come out of a weekend or get through the middle of the week without hearing those two words, Taylor Swift, I get clobbered upside the head with this story with your favorite governor of New Jersey and Rich Zeoli's bestie, Phil Murphy.
New Jersey.
Like, what do you spend? I get it. When you go to these stadiums, especially for a Taylor Swift concert, which I got to imagine the price for everything is to the maximum, just like it would be for a Giants or Jets game or an Eagles game here at the Link. But $12,000 in concessions? Was this a party of 50?
Well, that's just it. I'm sure he and Tammy and the 4 kids were in there and entertaining New Jersey.
By the way, you got a lot of love yesterday for your impressions and impersonations on the show.
It's like silly.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was funny. One account said that, and I hadn't seen this, maybe Politico had it somewhere in there, that the Murphy administration Now, he hasn't, I guess, been asked about it during one of his news conferences yet, so we don't have the audio, but he did blame that it happened during a transition.
Oh, well,
so
very interesting word.
Because it goes back to, and I was trying to think about, because I guess the administrations were transitioning. So this was, you think about how many years ago this was.
Yep.
So my question is, are they now saying, oh, well, we thought that the Democrat Party was going to pay for it? Did they think that, or are they saying that because Politico found it?
I think so.
You know what I mean?
But their public records have shown this, and it's broken down. And by the way, it's not just the Taylor Swift concert. It was the Taylor Swift concert. There was $936 for food and drinks at Taylor Swift, $2,095 for a USA v. Brazil soccer match, just under $2,100 for a football game between the Jets and the Patriots. They also went to a Hot 97 Summer Jam concert, which cost $1,400 in food and drinks. And then also USA versus Mexico, big soccer match. I actually remember that. I think that was back in 2019 or right before the pandemic started. And then also the Cowboys-Jets game, which probably wouldn't have surprised me if Chris Christie was at that game, because Chris Christie is a Weasel Cowboy fan.
Yes, but in other words, this wasn't the ticket prices. This is just the snacks.
That's correct. Just food and drink on taxpayer dollars. To which now he is saying
$12,000.
$12,000 combined. I get it. Beers are expensive, but this has got to be like a party of 40. Would you have like 6 different suites?
Wow.
I mean, this is the kind of night that Anthony Dorenzo takes in when he's on the Odyssey tab.
If you're in a suite and you have a couple suites. And they stock it with beer
adds up.
And food. It does add up. So, like, this isn't some guy who's in the, 107th row who's, buying beers from a vendor.
That's
correct.
What
I mean?
That's correct.
So, but yeah, I mean, this seems very
on your tax dollars
shady, doesn't it?
It does, but it goes back to 2018 and 2019.
That's correct.
And they were just letting this thing go.
Yep.
And now, we thought. And by the way, it's making news. Why doesn't he? Isn't he a billionaire?
Yeah, you have Murphy, like maybe he walks down the hall one day. His secretary might be named Sue. Hey, Sue, did we ever settle up at that tab at MetLife for the last couple? Yeah, you know what? Let's dip into the funds here and let's square this tab up. Nice work, Mr. Murphy.
Yeah, Elegant Mess 88 asked if Murphy's going to write a personal check.
Nope.
No.
Well, it might be, but it came from your wallets.
No, but to reimburse, to pay it back, right?
No, he's dipping into the state's, the Democratic Party's fund to pay for it.
Yeah, he's saying the Democrats should pay for it.
Yes.
That he doesn't.
That's
he's
correct.
Not
it ain't coming out of his checkbook. No way.
But then my other question is, because you brought up former Governor Chris Christie.
Yep.
He had $82,000 plus in 2010 and 2011.
And that was just on hot dogs alone.
Wow.
Yeah.
These guys are...
Yeah, big spender.
Yeah.
Yeah. He spent way more than Christie did, much like Joe has 82,000 pages in emails to Hillary's 55,000. This was a hold your beer hour here on Kayal and Company.
Yeah.
All right, we will come back, kick off hour number 2 with some news. I'm a little thirsty. I'm going to get some anti-woke water. What does that mean? And is it going to actually sell? The beer can sold. Remember the Trump beer can with the mugshot? Those breweries down in Georgia, they made a pretty penny. We'll see if people can cash in on the quenching of a thirst of a non-woke water company. Hour 2, Kayal and Company. We're back after this on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Have you heard all the talk about fresh pet food? Well, at Dogs and Cats Rule, when it comes to fresh, healthy ingredients, we lead the way. Hi, I'm George Peretti, and I'm here to tell you there's nothing better nutrition-wise than fresh food for your pet. Stop in to one of our 7 neighborhood locations and ask our expert staff how a real, fresh, meat-based diet can change your pet's overall health and well-being. Shop online at dogsandcatsrule.pet. Dogs and Cats Rule. Shop small, shop local, shop family.
Comedian Joe Conklin.
Back here at the Phillies wrap-up in front of a very despondent crowd here, L.A.
I see John Ritchie talking to some ladies at the bar doing his best Nick Castellanos impression.
How's that, L.A.?
He just struck out 4 times.
Ritchie dancing on his own again.
That's Conklin's comedy show at St. Ignatius Church in Yardley, November 4th, and the Sillersville Theater on November 18th. For tickets, go to joeconklin.com.
It's that time of year again to consider replacing your old drafty windows and doors before another long, cold winter season rolls in, and the great people at Guida Door and Window will help make your window and door replacement project more affordable with their buy one, get one half off sale. For every door or window you buy, you'll get a second one at 50% off, and you can mix and match the savings to suit your own needs. Buy an entry door, get half off a storm door. Buy a patio door, get 50% off a window. Need to replace all the windows and doors in your house? Well, you save 50% on half your project. The more you need, the more you save. Plus, Guida is making it easier for you to afford your project with no money down and interest-free financing for up to 18 months. Act now. Offers for a limited time only. Restrictions apply. For full details, call Guida today to schedule a free, no-obligation in-home estimate at 1-877-GO-GUIDA or visit them at GoGuida.com. That's go, GUIDA.com.
WPHT, WPHT-HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The future of joint pain relief is right here in the Philadelphia region. QC Kinetics, Advanced Regenerative Medicine. Hey, Dawn Stensland here. If you've been told that more steroids or surgery are your only options, not so fast. Get a second opinion. Learn more about how you can harness your body's own healing agents to attack that joint pain. QC Kinetics does not mask the pain. These treatments go to the very core of the problem, using concentrated healing properties placed directly into your joint, which repairs and restores that damaged tissue. Imagine living life, especially this fall, with no more pain in your knees, your aching shoulder, your back, your hips. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. Just call the local medical professionals, get a free consultation. QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. 215-999-3000. Just call QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Rich Cioli this afternoon, 3 till 7. Kayal and Company now on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
Oh, yeah, Kayal and Company, 7:01 on November 1st. Welcome back in, Hour 2 of Kayal and Company. Nick, Dawn, and Greg live here on a Wednesday morning. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT. Get us on the free Odyssey app. Watch us live on YouTube. Cut Sheet 745. Bruno at 825. And also, one publication saying it's time for everybody to close up shop except for one lady. One lady. Everybody else, get out. Leave it to one man and one woman. We'll give you that story coming up before we get to the cut sheet. And New York Magazine, about 3 years late to the party, as they have come to the conclusion that during the COVID-19 pandemic, lockdowns were an experiment, and lockdowns absolutely failed. We will get to that. And also some interesting audio about asking for forgiveness for the way people acted and when they took away your rights and your liberties during the pandemic. That's coming up as well. But right now, let's get some news. Round number 2, 7:03 on this Wednesday morning. The great Dawn Stensland.
And good morning. Yes, November 1st on this very chilly, unseasonably cold November day. So we'll have the full forecast with freeze warnings included for this evening. We are sponsored this morning by Holland Floor Covering in Bucks County in the suburbs. Halloween turning deadly for a teenager, 2 others injured after gunfire rang out during a large gathering of teenagers About 7:30 last night, Halloween night, Bristol Pike, Woodbine Avenue. Police officers say they received some 911 calls for a report of just a large number of teenagers who had come outside, maybe outside of a party, Halloween party. But again, 7:30 in the evening, they're called, and by the time they get there, as they're en route, now there's an update where where they're radioed and told this is a possible shooting. They arrive on the scene, finding 3 teenagers shot. The 14-year-old boy was the one who they could not save. He died. Then we have a 17-year-old and a 19-year-old. One of those teens this morning has been released from the hospital, and then the other teen remains in stable condition. This whole thing is under investigation. The shooter, the gunman, or the gun person, I don't know if it was a male or a female, but the single shooter fled the scene. Police said northbound on Bristol Pike, and they're trying to get a vehicle description, trying to get some surveillance images, but that person fired a dozen shots, according to authorities.
And you said this was at 7:30
last night.
So it's already dark out. Now, I haven't done Halloween and trick-or-treating the last 2 years with my girls being down in Nashville, but Halloween for each, quote, city or municipality or neighborhood is typically 6 to 8, correct? Is it still a 2-hour window?
Yeah, that's what it was for us last night.
Okay. All right. I was just thinking about what time the sun sets, what time they're supposed to be wrapping up.
By 6 something last night, it was dark. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I would say 6 Chestnut Hill. We just sat outside at Campbell's with Buddy.
Yeah.
And just watched all the kids parade by.
Yeah. Have you ever done the adult Halloween where people give out little things of booze in neighborhoods?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They do that. I didn't do it last night because we get up very early, but
right.
They do it. Maybe I shouldn't out them on the air, but in Chestnut Hill, it's a lot of fun. And they have good wine.
Oh, yeah?
They're it's a pour.
Generous pour?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, last night after my son called it a night by 7 o'clock, I was
what did he say, Daddy, I'm done?
Yeah,
or what
yes. He 100%
You sound
said,
disappointed in this, Stalker. Were you expecting the full 2 hours?
I was.
Okay.
Because I feel like I don't like Halloween.
Right.
But
it's a moment
with,
I know. With your kid.
It's a moment,
Right.
and I just, I just thought it was you know what I mean? I just remember Halloween, and he's 3, so it's he's going to...
Yeah.
But by the halfway point, he was just I'm done.
Yeah.
So,
Daddy, I'm done.
That's how I feel when we get to the cut sheet. I'm done.
Him and his mother went home, and I went over to the neighbor's house and drank in front of a fire.
Oh, fun.
Nice.
That sounds very
Soccer
nice.
was some midweek boozing.
Exactly.
Taking a page out of my playbook.
I very rarely do that.
Oh,
But
boy.
last night was Halloween.
Fun time, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
So,
all right, Dawn, I'm sorry.
Spider-Man got all sleepy.
Yeah.
So in other news, this morning, actually, Philadelphia police searching for a dark-colored SUV, possibly a Cadillac Escalade, involved in a deadly hit-and-run early this morning. This is Kensington. They say that 33-year-old victim was a pedestrian crossing the street, East Lehigh Avenue and Emerald Streets, and they were struck and then dragged about 400 feet. And so the person, when police were called, that victim was literally down the block closer to Jasper Street and died right there at the scene in the officer's arms.
How do we know
tragic.
how? I just saw, Dawn, that you I don't know if you retweeted or responded to the video yesterday of the latest, not surveillance, but the surveying of Kensington with the open drug area, and I'm wondering how close this incident was to that visual that we always get every time somebody talks about the drug usage in Kensington.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know the circumstance. They're not releasing any of that, nor are they releasing the identity of that 33-year-old pedestrian.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason they're saying for the driver of this Cadillac Escalade, to your point, they don't know the circumstance, but they're saying if you don't turn yourself in, immediately you face a vehicular homicide felony charge.
As you should.
So they're just saying, do the right thing, and that Cadillac Escalade, larger SUV, the grill would have some broken parts, some front damage. So they're saying, we're going to find you.
What do you guys think about this? I'm thinking about making my first ever trip to Kensington. I want to do some field work and take somebody from our show staff, somebody that does video work, and just go through that neighborhood one day. Is that something that you guys would like to see? Maybe we could put it up on social media, or are you guys not willing to risk my life?
I think
I'm willing to risk your life.
Oh,
no.
I figured it would be.
So here's the thing. Kensington, as much as we, it's in the headlines, it's obviously out of control.
Yeah.
But even, I remember one night covering a murder, or one day covering a murder, it wasn't even that late, when I was still at Fox, and somebody came by and slashed the tires of Dennis Richardson and I of the news van.
The station vehicle.
The big vehicle.
Right.
So it's not really, you probably want to maybe go with some law enforcement or with a group of us.
Yeah.
And in the daylight.
Okay. I was thinking about just going at night with my truck and just
no,
in a sleeveless
not after
T-shirt
dark.
and,
No, not after dark. I wouldn't. I know. Are you messing with me?
No, but I really would
You're
like to.
making me crazy.
I really do want to go down that street. Like, we see the video always circulating on social media. I mean, I don't know what it says about me, but, most of my life connected to this, area, so to speak, or city. I've never once gone through there. I've always seen it from a different perspective. I'd like to go once just to, I don't know. It's not a bucket list item. I'm saying it's like going to Fenway Park to see a Red Sox game. But, with the job and all the stuff that we talk about, I think I should probably go one day.
Well, and that's the sad part that you bring up, is that that's the scene, and it's like zombie people if you go there.
Right.
But not too far away, you have people who can't leave that neighborhood. They can't go home, and so they are home, and they've got little kids, or they're raising their grandkids, and that's to your point, and that's why this upcoming election, it's important, to clean up these areas, and let us not forget Kendra Brooks, and you talked about this. I think you did a big take on it, but Kendra Brooks with this, with this party that only represents 11 people or something.
Yeah.
This working party, so-called.
Right.
And this is an upcoming election where it's very important.
That's correct.
People, to your very point, Nick.
Yeah. And, oh, by the way, too, the other thing that I think should happen, maybe Elon Musk can come to Kensington and see it, because he was on Rogan's podcast yesterday and talked about just the zombies that are in San Francisco. So he saw the Bay Area version of Kensington with the Twitter headquarters and things like that. Now, maybe they can get Elon to come through Kensington and, maybe he could, if he's going to waste $25 billion on X, I mean, he could clean up Kensington for well less than that.
Well, we do have, by the way, police searching for 2 people in connection with another SEPTA shooting. Here's the thing. We don't have injuries. So that's the good news. But Philadelphia police and SEPTA police releasing images, very good images of these 2 persons of interest in connection to the shooting. But again, so shots were fired, but they didn't strike anybody, thank God. But just another disturbing situation, Kensington. We've talked this morning already about Temple's campus and surrounding just off campus, where we've had several at gunpoint muggings of students who were robbed of their phones, their wallets, their belongings, not physically injured. But we're even seeing on social media and more students coming out saying that they are applying for a legal firearm license, that they want to be, they want to defend themselves, and the campus community rather shaken. Since you mentioned Governor Phil Murphy, not a great week for Governor Phil Murphy. So Nick Kayal talking about Governor Phil Murphy, how he was, being called out for those expenses at Met Stadium and the Taylor Swift $12,000 in snacks. Well, now an outraged New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy was furious after last night global offshore wind developer Ørsted suddenly announced it's pulling out of both of its projects scheduled to be built off the coast of New Jersey. We've talked a lot about these are the wind turbines, and this has been very controversial.
Yeah.
Well, now this is a huge blow to Governor Phil Murphy, and I might say the Biden administration, because they've backed this as well.
Show suggestion for you today. Maybe a perfect time to have Cindy Ziff back on the show.
Yeah, get her reaction on this. Yeah. But he spoke out, outrageous. Today's decision by Ørsted to abandon its commitments to New Jersey is outrageous. He calls into question the company's credibility and competence. So he was livid. So I know we'll talk about that moving forward, but I wanted to get to that one. And we have certainly more going on with Israel overnight and into this morning. Israeli strike on a refugee camp in northern Gaza, causing many casualties, reportedly. And this after IDF confirms that they were targeting a Hamas leader. And Israel's side of the story is, well, Hamas was using these civilians as human shields. Mm-hmm. That's a big headline this morning.
Yeah, I saw 12 Israeli soldiers were killed as well. And did you guys see the leftover rubble? It almost looks like a cratered out bowl after they destroyed that area of Gaza. Yeah. Apparently, with all the tunnels that they have built underneath, it basically leads to a very unstable ground for people to walk on. It's basically like Swiss cheese.
By the way, that attack happened on October 7th. That bombing happened, yesterday, I guess, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They gave them ample warning. They said, get the hell out.
You had 2 weeks,
You had 2 weeks. Get out.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to bomb the living S out of this place. So get out.
And by the way, for all the Hamas sympathizers out there, be aware that the United States and other forces have offered 1,200 trucks to come in from a humanitarian effort for aid, and Hamas, from the government standpoint, has only allowed 400 in. They want some of their people to suffer and be in pain so they can say this is thanks to Israel. Don't get that twisted as well. For all the claims of, well, Hamas, I sympathize with Hamas. They use their own people as shields too. Just figured I'd throw that in there as well.
And FBI Director Chris Wray said anti-Semitism reaching historic levels in the United States of America in this country as the war between Israel and Hamas intensifies. ADL, Anti-Defamation League, reporting more than 300 anti-Semitic incidents in the United States since the Hamas attack October 7th. And they're calling out, obviously, college campuses and the situation, like the threats against Cornell University's Jewish community that we've talked about.
And Ray was also saying that the terror threats to Americans are at a whole different level now, which you'll hear, I think, in about a half hour.
Yeah, I have all the cuts from yesterday's hearing, so we'll get to that in about a half hour.
Yep.
And we'll talk in the Big Three about this. It's the Day of the Dead, and we have a big community in Philadelphia celebrating the Day of the Dead. So we are sponsored this morning by Holland Floor Covering, the region's premier flooring dealer, featuring and family operated, I should say, for more than 50 years, providing exceptional service, professional installation. Visit their 2 showrooms, Wayne and Newtown. No charge samples, no obligation estimates. Learn more, hollandfloor.com. Freeze warning this evening, so bundle up today if you're heading out. The high just 50 degrees today, 51 tomorrow, a sunny stretch through Sunday. But today and tomorrow, especially this afternoon with the wind kicking up, it won't feel like the high of 50 degrees because of the wind chill factor. And this evening, some areas could see as low as 26 degrees. So we do warm up for the end of the week, Friday, 60 degrees sunny, and the weekend, mid-60s, a lot of bright sunshine. This is Kayal and Company News Live.
All right, Dawn, thank you very much. 855-839-1210. Cut sheet in about 30 minutes, 20 minutes out from the COVID lockdown experiment failure. And on the other side, made from liberal tears, it's the anti-woke water. Is there an anti-woke market out there for people? I think there is. Are you ready to cash in? We'll give you the details coming up next. Kayal and Company, Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
It's Dallas week. You know what that means. Philadelphia v. Dallas, Sunday, 4:25. And I got a deal for you right now because the money line for the Eagles-Dallas game is the Eagles right now minus 166. All you have to do is place a $5 money line bet. So place a $5 bet on that minus 166, and you can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's a guaranteed lock for you. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel in partnership with the Valley Forge Casino. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Just go to FanDuel.com/Greg. FanDuel.com/Greg. Sign up right now. Kick off the NFL season with a $5 money line bet to get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Go to FanDuel.com/Greg right now. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official partner of 1210 WPHT and is the official partner of the NFL. 21 and over, present in PA. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame money line wager required. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issue does not withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after your receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
A psoriasis flare-up can make a walk in the park, well,
no walk in the park.
It's that obvious, huh? I've tried so many lotions and creams, but I still have symptoms.
So those don't do enough to treat the inflammation beneath the skin, leaving you with those uncontrolled symptoms.
Makes sense, but what else can I do?
You can get real with your dermatologist so they can help you get clear. Make an appointment and, oh, you're already on it.
Hi, yes, I'd like to make an appointment.
Get real clear about psoriasis at letsgetrealclear.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, tested and inspected fire protection systems, first aid and safety supplies, on-site AED training, or mops and restroom products, stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together. So visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
You get up every morning and make it all work. You make the hospitals and the labs work. You keep the shelves stocked, the cash registers ringing, the production lines producing. At Vestas, we have the uniforms and workplace supplies you need to do what you do every day. When you think uniforms, floor mats, first aid kits, restroom supplies, think Vestas. Vestas, uniforms and workplace supplies for the people who make it all work. Learn more at Vestas.com.
There's nothing like football season. And this year, fans in Philly can listen to Penn State football free. Catch every Nittany Lions game live with Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Free on the Odyssey app. Every touchdown, every tackle, every win. All right here. To get started, download the Odyssey app today. That's AUDACY. And search for WPHT. Available for Philadelphia listeners only.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. If your child needs support, special tutoring, and custom instruction, METC is here to help. Now's the time to call to Kathy Gannon, METC. Call the Motivational Educational Tutoring Company for over 30 years. METC's tutoring studio, founded by educator Kathy Gannon, has helped people of all ages to grow personally and academically. Call Kathy at 215-493-4200. METC offers motivational SAT prep as well as academic skills and leadership training. 215-493-4200. Now's the time to get assistance for your child to help them succeed. All you have to do is visit online at METC.com. METC's tutoring studio. Call them today, 215-493-4200, or email Kathy directly, info@METC.com. Remember, 1210 listeners receive a free 1-hour consultation. Take advantage of this opportunity to help your child get one-on-one help. 215-493-4200, 215-493-4200.
Recently, and this is a new experience for me, my son Michael driving his Honda Civic, and I'm the passenger. So we drove to the Police Athletic League event, and it was a Halloween event. It was the first time I'd actually driven with him where he's driving, I'm the passenger. I said, this is a nice car. Brand new, that car smell. He loves it. The stereo, all the gadgets. He's so happy and he's so proud of this vehicle and takes great care of it. That new Honda Civic from my friends at Piazza Honda. They really took care of us. It was a great experience. When do you ever say that? That, oh, it was a great experience to go get a car or go to a car dealership. The knowledgeable sales team, Vince, Awesome Ross, as I call him, I tease him, Tony, Kristen, they showed us all the features, took it on the road for that great test drive, and we were so impressed with the professionalism, but also just the kindness of the staff there at Piazza Honda. We left the dealership with the specific model, the color, everything Michael wanted, and that experience was seamless from start to finish. If you're considering that new or maybe a pre-owned Honda, they have an amazing selection, by the way. Visit Piazza Honda in Philadelphia, Springfield, Langhorne, Pottstown, or Reading. You can always shop online, piazzahonda.com. Make sure you tell them Dawn sent you.
Calling on Percy to follow Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app.
Download it now.
722, Kayal and Company. As we continue live this morning here on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, Nick Kayal, Dawn Stenzel, and Greg Stocker with you. 855-839-1210. What's on the cut sheet coming up 7:45 this morning? Tony Bruno at 8:20 live from the great state of Florida. He's coming up in just about 1 hour. A lot of people reacting to some of the conversations we're having on Twitter this morning. Jose Cruz says, if I'm going to go through a tour of Kensington, start from Fishtown under the L, go all the way up close to Cotman, but don't go in the side blocks. And then Newman Price says, I'll take you and maybe Sid Weiss for a drive under the L in Kensington. We could do like a Kayal and Company Kensington road trip. That'd go over really well. Film that on social media. Get a lot of views to that.
Yeah, the suits here won't sign off on.
Of course
that,
not.
So
of course not.
Right.
This segment brought to you by Wawa. Wawa has pizza. It's freshly made, tastes great, and you can get it late. Right now, there's a $0 delivery fee when you order Wawa pizza at wawa.com or on the Wawa app.
True story. Last night while we were standing around the fire drinking, somebody goes, we should go to Wawa and get some pizza.
I've yet to have it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it.
The dude I was with last night swears by it. He said it's great.
Yeah.
So,
I've never had anything bad food-wise at Wawa.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine. I mean, look, it's not going to say it's like a 10 out of 10, but, I mean, it can't be bad.
No.
Wawa's very good at all that stuff. When they're not closing stores in bad areas because of crime.
I don't like their French fries.
Oh, no.
You
I don't like
what?
their French fries. It's the only thing.
I didn't know they had French fries.
They have the burgers and fries.
Really?
Burgers are good. Fries, I don't know. They're just kind
Wait.
of not the best.
Wawa has fries. How do I
When's
not
the last
know
time
this?
you were in a Wawa?
I use the one in Bluebell every week. I get gas there. I grab Gatorades or Red Bull before I go golf. I probably spend $85 a week at Wawa.
Wow.
75 is probably on my gas or my truck, but yeah. I've never seen fries. Where is that? Like in the little thing where they put the sizzlies and stuff like that?
It's only in the afternoon, like the pizza.
Okay.
But I
Never
say
seen
teenage
that.
boys, you know what I mean? So
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I'm probably at Wawa more than you.
Yeah, you probably are.
They're always hungry.
But one thing I've noticed is, and I don't think there's like ample opportunity, but I do think you can carve your own little niche out if you're a business or if you have an entrepreneurial vision, but you just maybe don't know exactly what you want to go into from a business standpoint. If 2020 was the summer, and I said this in the past, if 2020 in the summer was the summer of the BLM riots and movement, I think the summer of 2023 was the summer of the conservative boycott. We had the Bud Light story, we had the Target story, and conservatives and people that don't want left-wing messaging shoved down their throat said, we're not going to go to Target. You can move all that apparel to the back of the store. Obviously, the Bud Light boycott could go down as maybe one of the greatest boycotts of all time as far as the effectiveness 6 months in. But now, and we've also seen other people, Politico actually wrote this back in August. They claimed when they were covering the Bud Light story that if you want an alternative to Bud Light, Coors Light would actually be the non-woke beer. And they had a long breakdown as to what Coors stands for, maybe like some of their, the donations they make to certain foundations and some of the conservative background they have from an ownership standpoint. And then I believe in August or September, we had the story once Trump had his mugshot taken. You had this little brewery, I think it was in Georgia, and it was called Ultra Right Beer as opposed to Ultra Light Beer. And the Trump mugshot was put on the can. And we gave you some of the financial details of how well they sold and how it was actually a bit expensive. And they were able to sell, I think it was 30,000. I don't know if they were in 6-packs or cases or how they distributed them. But now you have a new company that is putting out a water bottle. And it's a water brand that aims to tap the anti-woke market. And it said it's made from liberal tears.
So stupid.
All right, so you think this is stupid?
It's so stupid.
If I can make $1 off of it, to me, it's not stupid.
Look, I am a capitalist. I'm a corporate whore.
I was gonna play the drop.
And I'm all for people inventing things and making money off of it. So if there's a market out here for this, great. But boy, is this dumb.
Well, here's the thing. I think you're stupid to pay $11 for a 6-pack of water. That's the price of this. So a Republican entrepreneur.
I shouldn't tell you what I pay for an 8-pack of Liquid Death, but
oh boy,
canned water.
Oh, you drink canned water.
How many times have we had this conversation?
That's right. We have.
Stop drinking at night. You forget things.
I do. And it carries over to the next morning.
My Lord.
So you have this Republican entrepreneur who is launching Freedom 2.0, which is a bottled water targeted at thirsty Republican voters and promising the taste of liberal tears. 6 packs go for $11, and they just hit the internet on October 27th, which was timed for the anniversary of one of Ronald Reagan's most significant speeches. And they also got a Times Square billboard to debut it as well. As for liberals, let them drink. I guess this is, is it called Perrier?
Perrier.
Perrier. I've never had that before. Perrier.
Oh, my God.
Never had that before.
Where did you grow up?
You're messing with us.
No, I'm dead serious. I've never had that before.
You've never even heard of it?
I've seen Pellegrino, the green bottle sparkling water, but not Perrier. No. No.
Are you messing with us?
No, I'm dead serious.
He's the most blue collar out of it. Like we're actually Dawn. We're elitist.
You guys are elitist.
D-bags for knowing what it is.
You know what? I'm tired of working with these elitists. Get me some common folk around here. But no, I've never heard that before. I'm sure if I've seen the bottle, I'll be like, oh yeah, okay, I've seen that before. But the inventor of this, who is 36, has found success in many different levels of business, from auto racing to video games and tech, and came up with this idea while being on the sofa of her South Florida home, saying, I was watching the Republican debate and a light went off. She told the New York Post. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, we have the graphic, the picture of the bottle. And I think Daniel Valdez and Phil will put this up.
There
so if you're on YouTube. So it's a
Freedom 2.0.
That's correct. It says water for deplorables. And it's got a little image of Hillary Clinton.
I'm sorry, if you buy this, you're a sucker.
Well, there's 16.9 ounce bottles. So you get a 6-pack of the 17-ounce bottles basically for $11. Now, see, I would give that a shot if it was an alkaline water, because I drink alkaline water from the days when I had reflux, and I drink coffee in the morning and I'm talking and I don't want to get hoarse or have to clear my throat on the air. So that's why I drink alkaline water. I would try a 6-pack for $11 if that was alkaline water. But if that is just your natural, normal purified spring water, so to speak, not doing it. But I do think the point being, I think there's a market for this.
Of course there is.
But I DuckDuckGo'd it, and what comes up first? Freedom Water, drinkfreedomwater.com. And it's not this, but it's alkaline water, bottled alkaline water. All sales support soldiers, veterans, and families.
I would buy that.
See, that is, if this money was going for some charity thing like that, I would 100% support it.
Okay.
But if it's just, some person wanting to get rich off of, suckers, then I'm,
That's the name of the game in a lot of markets, right? For a lot of products. I think if it's made in America, I think if you mention which kind of woke company you're offering the alternative to, if you can find somebody that's an investor, if you have a good business plan, you make it affordable, and then you advertise on 1210 WPHT. Yeah, I think you have a chance to succeed in this market.
Yeah, now if they want to advertise,
yes, because as we know,
I'm a capitalist and a corporate whore.
Oh. He grabbed that too.
Freedom 2.0. I'm telling you, it might be on the market. I think this person could do quite well for a little bit.
Spaceballs, the flamethrower. Oh boy, I missed that line. I'm sorry.
Yes, you could. So there you go. Freedom 2.0. If you want to DuckDuckGo it or check it out, and grab yourself a 6-pack, because it's water for the deplorables out there. 855-839-1210 is the number. All right, New York Magazine, they have come out and they have said, after further review, lockdowns were an experiment that failed tremendously. We will give you a little audio and some details, and just how, when we talk about lockdowns, where this actually originated from, not just from China, but from a former president and a vision that he had 20 years ago. We'll get to that. Kayal and Company as we continue. Cut sheet at 7:45. Right here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, the IRS has greenlighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship through its tax relief initiatives. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. Qualifying and enrolling in this program could stop all collections, settle your tax problem, and may even reduce what you owe by up to 99%. Call the hotline at Tax Help USA to see if you qualify and receive your free tax assessment by dialing 800-210-1005. If you or your business owe back taxes to the IRS or state, you can now get the help that you need during these hard economic times. Get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005. That's 800-210-1005.
Hi, this is Norman the Floorman. My wife accused me of being immature. I told her, get out of my fort. Calling all developers, investors, house flippers, and savvy shoppers. I'm selling plush carpet at 99 cents per square foot. I haven't sold carpet that cheap since 1969. Visit us online at normancarpet.net or visit our Bryn Mawr or Conshohocken showroom. Call for a free home estimate and, oh yes, 48-hour installation available. That's 800-220-RUGS.
The life of an Eagles fan is a wild ride. Some years we triumph. Some years we don't. What never changes year after year is how we get to the game, shoulder to shoulder with our fellow fans on SEPTA. And this season, fans ride home free from NRG Station on the Broad Street line thanks to Unibet, an official casino and sportsbook partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. Plan your trip to the game and learn more about free rides home, sponsored by Unibet at iseptaphilly.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You're invited to witness a groundbreaking documentary, America's Retirement Dilemma, a documentary of Wall Street's rigged system. Featuring powerful exclusive interviews such as the president and CEO of the leading analytics firm over Wall Street, Delbar Incorporated, Lou Harvey, who explains why Wall Street is not set up to have a fiduciary duty to the everyday investor.
Wall Street is not set up to handle a fiduciary relationship. Too expensive to replace all of my compensation systems, retrain all of my people. The whole structure that's been built over the last 100 years would have to be turned on end. I would have to be brutally negative. We have an industry that has been built on caveat emptor, buyer beware.
Hear this and more exclusive interviews with powerful industry leaders, esteemed economists, and top researchers at the Spring Mill Manor, November 14th. Registration is required. Call Crash Proof Retirement, 800-722-9728.
I'm living the life that I lived before I started having knee pain 10 years ago.
Meet Julie, a woman who makes the most of every moment in life. But over the last years, those moments were filled with agonizing pain until she discovered QC Kinetics.
Finally, the pain got so bad that people around me are like, oh, when are you getting your knee replaced? I was walking, hobbling. I listened to my last QC Kinetics commercial and I said, I'm done. I got to find out about this.
What Julie found out was QC Kinetics treats osteoarthritis with regenerative therapies, taking your body's own healing properties and concentrating them in the areas where you feel pain, helping heal and restore those damaged areas. No harmful steroids, surgery, or downtime.
It changed how I'm living. I'm able to do the things that I wasn't able to do for a long time.
Get back your life before the pain. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000. That's 215-999-3000. 215-999-3000.
Lose weight and feel great with NJ Diet. NJ Diet uses DNA and blood work to help you lose weight and keep it off. Tune into the radio show Sunday at 2 or visit njdiet.com.
Keep free speech alive. Follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
This is karma's gonna get you. Gonna knock you right in the head. You better get yourself together. Pretty soon you're gonna be dead. Why the way you thinking out?
7:36. Welcome back in, Kayal and Company. It's a Wednesday morning, November 1st. Nick, Dawn, and Greg here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Tony Bruno coming up 8:25. What's on the cut sheet in just about 8 or 9 minutes? A lot of people weighing in this morning. By the way, we've posted on Twitter at 1210 WPHT the Morning Mystery Movie Clip segment yesterday that went terribly, terribly bad. It was just wrong on every level. Yeah. And I had a nuclear meltdown, and people are now responding. And I think they're trying to, they have to be doing this to, see, if you try to get me to act up, I'm not going to. It has to be organic. But Rick on Twitter says, oh, that's easy. That clip was from Training Day. which, of course, that clip was not from training day. So we are still getting the answers wrong, although I think this guy on Twitter is just trying to get me to do what I just did there.
Yeah, you can see all that. And by the way, we post all kinds of videos and audio all day long. So if you're not following the radio station Twitter page at 1210 WPHT, give us a follow on the Twitter page because we're posting clips from all the shows all day long.
Yeah, and by the way, too, we haven't promoted the merchandise in a while. Don't forget, the 1210 merch store is still available.
It is. 1210WPHT.com, 1210WPHT.com. There's on the right-hand corner, it says, like, the merch store or something like that. You can get everything that you want from all of your hosts right there.
There you go. 855-839-1210, the number. So, it's always amazing how a lot of these left-wing rags and publications like New York Magazine they'll arrive at the same conclusion that the conspiracy theorists arrived at just about 2.5, 3 years later. And this is a very, very long story. But before we get to that and some of the excerpts from it, I want to play you this clip. Now, first of all, New York Magazine yesterday with a long feature called COVID Lockdowns, a Giant Experiment That Was a Failure. A key lesson of the pandemic. We're going to get to that in just a second, but I want to play you this clip first. This was Bill Maher from his HBO show Real Time with Bill Maher. I want to say this clip is a little dated. It was towards the end of the pandemic. It was Bill Maher, former governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, and one school board member, school district employee, and you'll hear him here. I'm not really sure what his name is, but his name's really irrelevant. Talking about asking for the forgiveness and, yes, lockdowns were a failure, but at the time we didn't know, blah, 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 blah.
This isn't old. This just happened Friday.
Are you sure?
And the guy's Scott Galloway.
Okay, so why is he referring to? So I watched the longer version of it. It looks like he's referring to Cuomo, like he's still presiding over.
This is why you have to stop getting your news from Twitter and read the entire story.
No, I didn't see I didn't see any story. I just saw the video clip here, which ties into this New York Magazine story. Okay, so this is new. So then that's either way, it's good then.
Yes.
So, but the point being, yes, it was a massive failure. And I want to talk about, when it comes to forgiveness for a moment. But let's listen to this clip first. Real-time HBO, Bill Maher. Take a listen.
Well, I was on the board of my kid's school during COVID. I wanted a harsher lockdown policy, and in retrospect, I was wrong. The damage to kids of keeping them out of school longer was greater than the risks. But here's the bottom line. Myself, our great people, the CDC, I'd like to thank the governor, we were all operating with imperfect information, and we were doing our best. So let's learn from it. Let's learn from it. Let's hold each other accountable. But let's bring a little bit of grace and forgiveness in the show that was COVID.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit, and we'll tie in the New York Magazine article as well. So you're asking for forgiveness. That's fine. I got that. I'm a Christian. I know I don't act like it a lot, but I am. So, I do believe in forgiveness in the whole bit. But here's the thing. This thing has continued to play out into the school year of 2023. Remember back in August, we were talking about some high school football games in California canceled because of COVID outbreaks. We have still seen in 2022 schools, shutting down because of a little outbreak. We got to clean and scrub the hallways and the classrooms and all this other stuff. So one of three things. Okay, I forgive you. I got you. Don't keep making the same mistake. Secondly, how about not only admitting you were wrong, he talks about accountability there. To me, there are people that need to lose jobs over this. And whatever other type of repercussion exists, that needs to happen as well. But also, what about an apology to everybody who came to the realization on this side of the ledger, so to speak, and I'm talking about the majority of our audience right here on 1210 WPHT and other people that think the way we do. Like, we realized by at least late 2021, let's call it 12 to 18 months into this thing, that this was detrimental to kids, that kids were not at risk, that people like Randy Weingarten and the teachers union were playing politics and playing games. And it continued well through 2022. So, I got you from the forgiveness standpoint, but we quickly realized if you were overweight, if you had some comorbidities, if you were in the elder population, those were the people that needed to be protected. And I don't know that you can quantify today, and I don't know how long it will take, but we'll get to 2032, and there will be all this data and all these studies that shows the true detrimental impact and effect of lockdowns for kids, from learning disabilities to addictions that were developed. People drank more. People became addicted to social media. You had mental health crises and breakdowns, suicides, businesses that were shuttered. Maybe, and I'm trying to find the silver lining in this, maybe if you are a business owner or you own a major company, maybe you realized, hey, you know what? Maybe I can cut down on overhead. Maybe I don't need to pay the rent for a 27,000 square foot facility. I can have people work from home, go smaller. But I would say that that's probably one of the very few positives that you might have came to the realization of during the pandemic. So let's get some thoughts. Dawn, your thoughts on this, because if you tried to stand up against the schools, you were labeled anti-science. And now 3.5 years later, it's like, you know what? This whole thing that we tried, it didn't work. It was a failure. Please forgive us. We operated under the assumptions that we had at the time. But yet the deplorables seem to have it figured out by April of 2021 when the boosters were rolling out, yet the schools, they tried to continue playing a different game otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. Where was the great? I mean, this is like, you know what this is like? This is like your significant other after they cheat on you and ruin your life or whatever.
10 years later,
10 years later,
you were right.
And go, oh, well, where's the grace?
Yes.
You should forgive me.
Yes.
It's like, really? Where was the grace? Where was the grace then?
Mm-hmm. Correct. And it's like, you can sit there and say better late than never, I guess.
No. Here's the thing. I have grace. I have forgiveness. I do. But for this person to come out when they know that this is going to clobber them in the upcoming elections, and all of a sudden they want grace and they want forgiveness, really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then all of y'all need to come together and rehire all the people. There are cops here in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I have a girlfriend who lost her job at a hospital because she would not get, for her personal reasons and for medical reasons, she would not get the COVID.
Right.
When it was still under emergency.
Yeah.
She lost her job.
Mm-hmm.
And there are first responders like that. There are cops like that. No. There are school kids who've undergone, their lives, the pathways of their lives have been altered in bad ways. And now we have a mental health crisis.
Mm-hmm.
We have businesses. What about all the people whose businesses were shut down? It's been a hot mess.
Well, the thing,
and now you want grace? Give me a freaking break.
The thing that really steams me up about it is, you know what's going to happen when this happens again, and it will, and let's hope it doesn't happen for another 100 years and we're all gone at that point. They'll go back to the same measures that failed. You know that's going to be in place. I'm telling you, remember I said this all summer and all fall, September and October. Just wait. You will hear, I guarantee you, I promise you, when we come out of Thanksgiving break, you are going to have a story from a school district. I don't know where it will be. My guess is California, hopefully not Philly. I don't care if it happens in New York, but it will come from one of these cities that will go back to the same dated failed experiment, and they will say, re-implementing 5-day mask mandates in the school just because of the large gatherings and the traveling that occurs during the holidays. You know that will happen in some left-wing school district.
Absolutely.
Take that to the bank.
You're so right. And that's why people have to remember, because there's so much going on that people forget.
Mm-hmm.
They do forget.
That's correct.
And because Greg was teasing you the other minute, oh, you forget stuff. But truthfully, we're all on overload with, there's so much information coming at us not just every day, every hour. And so, you know what I mean? So people have that short memory. This coming up, we're a week away.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday, remember. And for sure, when you look at POTUS 2024, when you look at the election upcoming in a year, please remember this and don't give grace on Election Day.
Yeah.
Make sure that they are punished for what they did to all of us.
Let me give you just a few excerpts. This is there's no way I could do this on the radio for a show. This New York Magazine article, but there's 3 different paragraphs on the first 4 pages I just want to highlight for you. On April 8th, 2020, the Chinese government lifted its lockdown of Wuhan. It lasted 76 days, 2.5 months during which no one was allowed to leave the industrial city of 11 million people or even leave their homes. The Chinese government, however, was committed to this zero COVID strategy, as it was called, in mid-March 2020, by time which more than 50 million people had been forced into lockdowns. China recorded its first day since January with no domestic transitions. But by March 2022, as they tried to reinstall some of these, people reacted with fury, screaming from their balconies, writing bitter denunciations on social media, and in some cases committing suicide. Then they go and look at what happened in the United States and in the UK especially, where lockdowns went from being regarded as something that only an authoritarian government would attempt to an example of, quote, following the science. But I mentioned a former president. This actually goes back to G.W. Bush. Despite the lack of scientific evidence, lockdowns didn't come out of nowhere, at least not in the U.S. They had been discussed and argued over by scientists since 2005, when, as the story goes, President George W. Bush read John M. Barry's book, The Great Influenza, about the 1918 pandemic, saying, quote, "This happens every 100 years. Bush is supposed to have said after finishing the book, we need a national strategy." So to me, from what I gather from that, and it's a really interesting read, it's long, but if you want to check it out, it's on nymag.com. These are things that, it's not like this Fauci just came rolling out in March of 2020 and said, hey, why don't we try this? Like, these are things that have been considered by presidents and administrations going back almost 2 decades, or at the time, 15 years before. So very interesting on that front.
Here's the thing, and that fires me up, that whole comment about grace, because there's a religious connotation to it, right?
Right.
God gives grace. So if people who did all this want God's grace, fine, but I'm not God. And I feel like they can go to hell.
Wow.
They damaged our kids. They damaged our society. They did. They damaged all of us. And we don't even understand fully, as the years goes on, and I have conversations even with my kids, schools. I mean, you talk to grandparents who passed away in nursing homes. I mean, all of it, just all of it, what they did to us. And I'm not talking about initially. Obviously, that was a panic, and we had a pandemic, and people were dying, and everybody was worried and scared. But at some point, they knew. And Fauci has admitted that they knew things. And remember the back and forth with the mask? That's when we started getting a whiff of things like, what? And the cloth mask, and then you saw even people in the media. Remember, we aired that report, and you saw somebody like doing the, showing somebody sneezing with the cloth mask, and everything was going all over the place. So no, they knew at some point this was about control. It was about power. It was about politics. And yeah, it's part of why Trump has support, because it just felt like they were using all of this pandemic to take down Trump, just like they're now trying to use DOJ in the courts to take down Trump. So no, you know what? Go to God for grace. I'm a mom who is furious over this, and I will never. It would take years for me to forgive those in charge. I'm not talking about people who just believed and followed like a bunch of blind sheep. I'm not talking about them. They were just stupid or blind or whatever. But I'm talking about leadership. They had the information. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
And they should never be forgiven. And they should have, political damnation, if you will, as far as the Democrats and that Randy Weingarten and that teachers union lady, all those people, evil.
Yep. All right.
Shame.
There's Randy.
It really pisses me off.
All right, 7:50. Let's get to a Wednesday edition of What's on the Cut Sheet.
What's on the cut sheet?
What's on the cut sheet on this Wednesday is brought to you by our good friends at Cherry Hill Volvo, where they have ample inventory of brand new and beautiful pre-owned Volvos. Enjoy the luxury experience you deserve. They always go the extra mile for their customers because relationships matter at Cherry Hill Volvo. Check them out at Route 70 in Cherry Hill. Cherry Hill Volvo, where relationships matter. Okay, yesterday was a huge hearing by the Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee. They had their annual Threats to the Homeland hearing. With FBI Director Christopher Wray, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, and NCTC Director Christine Abizay? I don't know.
You're talking to the guy who doesn't know Perrier versus Perrier. Damned if I know.
A lot of explosive testimony, a lot of really interesting things happened with it, especially for people who were super interested in privacy, like myself, because they were debating the FISA FISA Act ends at the end of the year, and they want to reinstate it, Section 702, where they can. It requires government to get a warrant before searching through foreign surveillance data for information on Americans. Christopher Wray opposes that proposal, which I think is very interesting, and it also shows you where his head is at. But anyway, all three of their opening statements talked about the recent attacks on Israel by Hamas on October 7th. And Christopher Wray's testimony started with protests. Cut 1. Go.
Vice Chair Collins, distinguished members of the Appropriations Committee, thank you for this opportunity to testify before you today.
The Geneva Convention forbids the bombing of densely populated areas. Stops supporting the genocide and ethnic cleansing of the people of Gaza. Ceasefire now! Save the children of Gaza! Save the children of Gaza!
Blinken's just sitting there, like stoic.
It really is an amazing visual, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
I do recognize that people feel very passionately, but I ask that we have order in this hearing room and respect our speakers. We will move forward with the hearing and allow the people here and the American people to hear from their witnesses.
Wow. So then he started his testimony, as I discussed earlier, and then this happened, cut 2.
Okay.
To defend itself the way it does so matters. In our discussions with the Israeli government, the President and I have both stressed the need for Israel to operate by the rule.
You're the terrorist.
The committee will suspend.
Let them be at the table. Why aren't they at the table?
Why does she?
Ceasefire now!
Why does she sound 12?
Ceasefire now!
Secretary Blinken, you may continue. Thank you.
Chair.
These
That's
nut jobs.
That's a grown adult there wearing a book bag. She sounds like she's 9. I guarantee you she's got a TikTok account.
All right, yeah, so it started with...
By the way, how do we feel about these people just showing up like this? And I get it,
it's their free. It's their right to do that. They can
but
protest.
I know. It's just
we can mock them.
They're just a disruption and a disturbance. Like, just get out of here.
Sometimes disruptions and disturbances are good.
I agree. It makes for good content.
But I don't. I'm not saying I agree with what they're saying, because I 100% don't.
Right.
But look, this country was founded on protests.
I know.
Let's keep protesting, right?
Yes. I'm not against the protest at all.
So Senator Bill Haggerty from Tennessee, your former senator there,
yes.
Nick, he started it off by asking Secretary Blinken about taxpayer dollars and if it went to fund the October 7th Hamas terrorist attack. He's asked 3 times, refuses to say one way or another.
Oh, good.
Cut 12, go.
I think the question I'd like to ask is, can you guarantee us that no taxpayer money, no U.S. taxpayer money, went to fund the attack that Hamas delivered in Israel on October the 7th?
So we have, and we've had from day one, and we'll obviously get back to you in response to this letter, a robust monitoring, inspection, verification system for the assistance that goes to any international organization, and including.
Can you guarantee, though, that U.S. taxpayer dollars didn't go to Hamas to help fund this attack on October the 7th?
So everything that we're doing in terms of making sure that the assistance is used for purposes for which it's designated, not for other purposes. As I said, we have a robust system in place.
Can I share my concern, Mr. Secretary, to be more specific about this? In May of 2021, I traveled to Israel after the 11-day war. I met with Prime Minister Netanyahu with his national security advisor. They briefed me and my team on the fact that every humanitarian aid dollar, every foreign aid dollar that goes into Gaza is controlled by Hamas. They either direct it, they tax it, or they divert it. They even take pipes intended for the water system for civilians and turn those into rockets that are aimed at Israel. We've seen Hamas's own videos demonstrating this. So I'm going to come back and ask you, can you guarantee that U.S. taxpayer dollars weren't used in October 7th attack?
What I guarantee is that we take every possible precaution to ensure that these...
It's like a robot.
Use the word robust one more time.
There we go.
Anthony. No H in there. So a couple of things. I think our buddy Sean Farash made a really good point yesterday where he said something to the effect of we got to stop funding all of these sorts of operations abroad. And secondly, I mean, I mentioned this about 45 minutes ago, the humanitarian crisis that's going on with those in Gaza. Like Hamas you just heard it right there. They will literally take funding that is intended for their civilians for the sake of water and use it for rockets against Israel to further their mission statement, so to speak, against those of Jewish descent. And when you got Blinken there, what was he handed in the beginning? He's like, well, we'll get back to you on that. And he immediately pivots from being unprepared for whatever he was given to using the word robust multiple times without actually answering the question.
Yep.
We got to stop funding these operations because if you give them no dollars, then no American tax dollar can end up in the hands of the terrorists.
FBI Director Christopher Wray was next up. You mentioned this earlier, Nick. He warned Hamas terrorists may conduct acts here on our own soil. So,
you've been warned, Americans.
Cool.
Get ready.
I guess. Cut 13, Phil. Go.
But as I said a few moments ago, on top of the homegrown violent extremists and domestic violent extremist threat, we also cannot and do not discount the possibility that Hamas or another foreign terrorist organization may exploit the current conflict to conduct attacks here on our own soil. We have kept our sights on Hamas and have multiple ongoing investigations into individuals affiliated with that foreign terrorist organization.
Awesome.
So when he says domestic terrorists, is he talking about radicalized extremist terrorists that are domestically here, that are American, that have converted to this radical faction wing of the Muslim faith? Or is he talking about American domestic terrorists? Because I would argue that you have a lot of nerve to sit there and say that, we're vulnerable here from, Hamas and other organizations, while simultaneously being focused on grandmothers on January 6th and parents at school board. The FBI seems very, very hell-bent on spending a lot of time, money, and resources on conservative individuals in this nation. Maybe if we just dedicated the majority of our resources to the ones that want to fly buildings or fly planes into buildings, maybe this wouldn't have to be a speech that you have to issue on October 31st. That's just me, though.
Senator Rand Paul asking the FBI director Twitter's role in what's happening. Did the FBI pay Twitter to moderate content? This was brought out in the Twitter files
yes.
by our buddy Matt Taibbi, who showed that there was a bill that was paid in excess of, I believe, $3 million, something like that, for the moderating of content on Twitter or taking stuff down or whatever. Cut 4 here. Phil, go.
Director A, did the FBI pay Twitter money to moderate content moderation?
I'm not aware of us paying money to moderate content there or anywhere else.
What was the $3 million for that the FBI gave that's been revealed in Twitter files, which has been characterized by those writing the Twitter files as payment for content moderation? Basically, they said Twitter, you guys were meeting with them all the time, and you had them taking down so many posts. They said, well, gosh, it's a lot of work. Why don't you pay us? And so you did. You paid them $3 million. Are you aware of the payment?
I'm not aware of that specific payment, but I can tell you that when it comes to payments, going back well over 4 decades, when we are required by federal law, when a company, like in this instance a provider, goes through expenses to produce information, we're required to reimburse them for those expenses. And so I think that a lot of the questions about payments revolve around exactly that.
So it is a slippery slope when we talk about what Twitter pulls down as far as content moderation with free speech. If it's Twitter alone on their own discretion, that's not a violation of your First Amendment rights. But when the government is telling Twitter to take certain things down, that is the violation of the First Amendment rights. The government cannot censor your speech. So that's the interesting part there. Also, take note there. Rand Paul actually had a conversation that didn't involve Tony Fauci and COVID. I thought he was specifically focused on Fauci alone, which I applaud him for. And then the last thing I would say, for all of Matt Taibbi's great journalism, what was his reward? A random knock at the door by the IRS.
Yep, that's brought up.
Just randomly.
That's brought up, too, in one of these clips. One more with Rand Paul and FBI Director Wray about the FBI meeting with social media companies. You know, the FBI and these social media companies were really in bed with one another for the majority of a couple of years here.
Yep.
Cut 6 here, Phil. Go.
The First Amendment. Director Wray, same question. Is the FBI still meeting with social media companies?
We're having some interaction with social media companies, but all of those interactions have changed fundamentally in the wake of the court's rulings.
That's sort of an acknowledgement that perhaps you weren't just talking about national security, child pornography, and human trafficking, right? You had other areas of discussion that did involve constitutionally protected speech.
No, that's not an acknowledgement of
But
that.
then how did you change your behavior?
Out of an abundance of caution, in order to make sure that we don't run afoul of any court ruling. I would say, by the way, of course, that the injunction has been stayed by the Supreme Court.
Did anybody from the FBI ever discuss constitutionally protected speech with social media organizations?
Not to my understanding.
Vaccine efficacy, never discussed any post concerning vaccine efficacy?
Well, certainly not, because to my understanding, as you know, the FBI was the first and for a long time the only agency in the intelligence community to assess that the COVID origin was most likely from a lab leak. So the idea that we were engaging in...
I commend you for that, but the Twitter files and other indications, as well as the Missouri versus Biden, list many cases of both DHS and FBI discussing constitutionally protected speech, vaccine efficacy, mask efficacy. People who said, my brother got the vaccine and died yesterday. And the brother actually did die, but proof of cause and effect is one thing. But taking down posts like that was part of the discussion in these meetings.
Not by the FBI. We would not have been engaging with social media companies about vaccine efficacy, to my knowledge, certainly.
Well, I would like to think at this point moving forward in time that this is not happening with X, considering Elon Musk, one of his main reasons for purchasing X was this specifically. But I'd be willing to take it to the bank that this is still happening with Google, with Facebook, with YouTube, and those companies. And by the way, they mentioned Missouri v. Biden, that obviously going to the Supreme Court. If you value free speech and whether the government should be able to step in, keep an eye on that and keep searching that every couple of weeks because I think that is going to be one of the most monumental cases moving forward.
Absolutely.
Let me grab Mark. He is in Turnersville, New Jersey, and he's got some thoughts on, I believe, what Dawn had to say with doctors and COVID. Mark, you go right ahead, sir.
Thanks. Yeah, and I do agree with what Dawn said. I mean, we can't let these politicians right now that are just looking for votes off the hook really easy because there were so many other dissenting views of very prominent doctors and scientists and experts that were opposing lockdowns. They were opposing shutting schools down, and then the government just decided not to listen to any opposing views. So for them to say, we got it wrong, and you should have grace with us, it's disingenuous, and I don't believe it. And I totally agree with Dawn. We cannot let them off the hook for the reasons that I just mentioned.
Mark, I completely agree with you, and we appreciate the phone call. And to your point with it wasn't just conservatives. It wasn't just Republicans. It wasn't just people that are, don't want the government interfering with their lives. I mean, there was medical professionals. I always forget the guy who here locally, the 70-year-old at the university that was liking tweets, that was basically forced to leave his profession. And he is, I believe, an expert in the airborne respiratory viruses. So he is very qualified to talk about this stuff and have a different conclusion. But to that caller's point, Mark from Turnersville, if you didn't fall in line with Fauci, the CDC, the NIH, the WHO, the Rochelle Walensky's of the world, and anything coming out of this administration, even if you were credible, I mean, you were just basically shunned.
It was another Mark Tykaczynski, Thomas Jefferson University president.
Yes.
Bullied.
That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All because he was liking tweets, which, by the way, a lot of people can like tweets. just to have as a frame of reference to go back to. It's a way of bookmarking or chronicling things that you can go back to in time, which is why you'll see some people in their Twitter profile saying retweets and likes are not necessarily endorsements.
Yeah.
People put that there because we live in a world, because if you like something, they just assume that you agree with it.
Getting back to the Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee's annual Threat to the Homeland hearing, the real star of yesterday's show was Alejandro Mayorkas. Boy, he was just he was grilled 6 ways to Sunday,
as he should be,
about all kinds of things. By the way, so Mayorkas was asked by Rand Paul the same question that he asked Christopher Wray about social media companies meeting with the FBI with the instructions of taking down content. This is what he said, cut 5, Phil.
Secretary Mayorkas, is DHS still meeting with social media companies to discuss content moderation?
Ranking Member Paul, you and I have discussed this before. We do not meet with social media companies for the purpose of instructing them to take down content.
You've never had any meetings with the social media companies to discuss content moderation?
What we have done in the past, Ranking Member Paul, as I shared with you previously, is we, along with other federal agencies, have met with social media companies in a public-private partnership to speak of the threats to the homeland so that those companies are alert to them.
Do you think a threat to the homeland is a discussion of vaccine efficacy?
I do not, Ranking Member Paul. And
if you'll have your staff read, and I think it'd be good for you to read also the Missouri versus Biden case, it lists time and time again discussion of constitutionally protected speech that has nothing to do with national security. So when you say you didn't meet to do with that, yes, you were meeting, you just disagree with the characterization of it. Were you meeting with social media companies to discuss content moderation? And your answer to that is no?
My answer
That's the specific question. Did you meet with them, and were you meeting with them to discuss content on the internet?
My answer remains the same, Ranking Member Paul, that we met on a periodic basis with other federal agencies and a group of social media companies to speak with them about the threat environment that the homeland faced.
Right, and this includes discussion of vaccine efficacy, mask efficacy, Hunter Biden's laptop. Are these meetings still occurring?
Ranking Member Paul, they are not. We do not participate in any such meeting.
And the reason the meetings aren't occurring is because a federal judge placed an injunction on you, and the Biden administration acknowledged that they're not having the meetings. So you need at least acknowledge that the court is talking to you about this and saying what you were doing was violating the First Amendment.
Wow.
Threat to the homeland. Very interesting. He keeps using threats to the homeland. Speaking of Mayorkas, I want to take his little phrase there just to weave this story in real quickly. By the way, Texas got a major win in the battle to secure the border, despite this administration's attempt to stop it. So when you hear Mayorkas talk about threat to the homeland, if I'm Rand Paul there, and this was on Tuesday, the ruling came out on Monday where a federal judge ordered the Biden administration to stop cutting razor wire on the fences along the southern border in Texas, meant to stop illegal migrant crossings. They were accused of disassembling, degrading, and tampering miles of razor wire to allow illegal aliens to enter and be processed, and federal agents escalated the matters, trading bolt cutters for an industrial-strength telehandler forklift to dismantle the border fence. And the claim is, well, if they're going to come here and go through the process of being screened, we don't want them to get hurt in the process of coming here illegally. So when this guy refuses to mention the word crisis and he talks about protecting the homeland, this guy is a part of the administration that is disassembling stuff that is meant to prevent and protect your security. Think about that.
Well, that's where I'm going to go next, Nick Kayal, because he says that there were more than 600,000 known gotaways, as is what they call it. Those are people that come into this country and we lose track of them for one reason or another.
They just disappear.
600,000.
Yep.
I mean, think of that.
Could be here, could be in New York.
600,000.
Could be in Kalamazoo, Michigan. We have no idea.
That's bigger than some entire state populations.
That is 10 stadiums of Eagle fans.
Wow.
10.
600,000. Cut 10, Phil. Go.
How many gotaways did CBP record in fiscal year 2023?
I believe, Senator, that number is over 600,000. As I'm sure you are well aware, the phenomenon of gotaways is something that has been a challenge for the Department of Homeland Security for decades.
So it's
decades.
It's been a problem for decades.
Right.
600,000.
And think about it. Once they actually get processed and come through, then they have a court date coming up, and odds are they won't attend that court date. And then we have no idea where these people are, what they are planning, what they are doing. We have lack of information. I mean, that you talk about national security. That's the crux of this disaster at the border.
Yep.
And now we've got guys like Christopher Wray saying, well, you know, the terror threat level, alert level is at a whole different level right now. And no, we can't guarantee anything.
By the way, streaming live on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. We're 3 likes away from 100, so please hit the like button if you're watching right now. Also, if you have not done so, please hit the subscribe button. Our goal is 5,000 subscribers by Thanksgiving, and today is November 1st, I believe. So we're closing in on Thanksgiving, so we really need you to hit that subscribe button.
3 weeks from today is the last show before Thanksgiving.
Yep. Wow.
We have 3 weeks, folks.
Oh, my gosh.
Ron Johnson asking the question, how many people have been let into the U.S. during the Biden administration? Mayorkas refuses to say, doesn't know.
Doesn't care.
Doesn't care. I don't know. Cut 9, Phil.
How many people has this administration let in by encountering, processing, dispersing, or that have come in as a known or unknown gotaway? What approximately? I don't need an exact number. So what do we got?
Senator, let me say.
I need numbers. Again, don't filibuster me. How many people has this administration led into the country?
Let me say at the outset that our job would be a lot easier if the broken immigration system was
No,
fixed.
Mr. Secretary, I want a number. How many people have you led into this country?
I should also.
Okay, I'll give you the number. It's about 6 million.
I tell you.
Wow.
Don't filibuster. Don't filibuster. Of all the people that get under my skin with this administration, I've said this many times on this show. I'll say it again. Mayorkas he takes the cake. Yeah. That guy is a lightweight, worthless stooge. I'm going to ban him from the cut sheet. He offers nothing. He has no idea. And look, ultimately, it's not his fault. He has to answer to those above that are telling him blah, blah, blah. But it's just so embarrassing that our southern border it's just wide open. Wide open. And then right there, he wanted to sit there and try to go back to the Trump administration. It's like, dude, you guys have been in power for 3 years. Stop bringing up 2019, 2018, 2017. It is irrelevant.
If you're just tuning in right now at 8:15, we're playing clips. There's a ton of clips that I pulled yesterday from yesterday's Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee annual Threat to the Homeland hearing. We played Ray. And now we're on to Alejandro Mayorkas. Also, Anthony Blinken was in there as well. Senator Rick Scott asks, can you say that Hamas, Hezbollah, or other Iran-backed terrorists are not in the U.S. currently after possibly illegally crossing our southern border? Very good question. I'm sure you know what Mayorkas' response is. Cut 11.
Can you say that Hamas, Hezbollah, or other Iran-backed terrorists are not in the U.S. currently after possibly illegally crossing our southern border?
Senator, let me assure you that anyone who poses a threat to our national security or our public safety is an enforcement priority of ours, and we use our detention capabilities to the fullest extent.
Wow.
And look,
what the hell does that mean?
I have no idea. A whole bunch of nothing as usual. But we have said this in the past that the whole world knows that the southern border is open. So it is not just people from South America. It's not people coming up just from Mexico. I mean, if you want to enter the United States and create some sort of terrorist attack or any sort of crime or any other national security threat, no matter where you're coming from, could be from Iran, could be from China, could be from Russia, could be anywhere in between. You just go to the southern border and you come on up through.
What really made the headlines yesterday, at least on social media, was Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri confronting Mayorkas over a DHS employee. I don't know if you guys saw this. A DHS employee posted a picture of a hang glider and was basically a Free Palestine type thing.
It was like a Palestine ad.
It was basically a Hamas ad.
Or Hamas ad,
basically
yeah.
what it was.
Yeah.
So Hawley brought that up and is like, has this person, I believe it's a female, has this person been dealt with? Have they been fired or reprimanded or whatever from their job? He doesn't answer, and then he the second clip is then him self-aggrandizing himself a little bit. Cut 14. This is how that clip started. Phil, go 14.
An employee of the Department of Homeland Security who posted these comments on October the 7th. That's not all she posted. She also posted this graphic. Now, this is a fake graphic, I want to be clear, but I think we understand it. This is a paraglider, a Hamas paraglider, depicted here with a machine gun flying into Israel. She posted it under her online alias with the celebratory Free Palestine. Mr. Secretary, what's going on here? Is this typical of people who work at DHS? This is an asylum and immigration officer who is posting these, frankly, pro-genocidal slogans and images on the day that Israelis are being slaughtered in their beds. What have you done about this?
4 things I'd like to say to you.
Oh, we got 4.
Number 1, your question to suggest that that is emblematic of the men and women of the Department of Homeland Security is despicable.
I'm sorry, what have you done? This person works for the Department of Homeland Security. Have you fired her?
That was 1 of 4 answers.
Have you fired her?
1.
Have you fired her? Don't come to this hearing room when Israel has been invaded and Jewish students are barricaded in libraries in this country and cannot be escorted out because they are threatened for their lives. You have employees who are celebrating genocide, and you are saying it's despicable for me to ask the question?
Woo! That is a roast job and a half. It's not only just DHS, it is this administration, it is those on the left, it's those in Ivy League institutions. This celebratory, and by the way, the paraglider there, think about that. Some people go paragliding for fun. Hamas uses paragliding and hang gliding while strapped with machine guns to come in and kill people from the air. And that image right there, that graphic, first of all, that is a fireable offense. I mean, if that person
Imagine something they put on Twitter. A fireable offense, Nick, Dawn.
Imagine if I did that for Odyssey. I wouldn't see the next show, right? I'd be out. And then somebody would say, well, is that what Odyssey represents? Of course, no, that's not what Odyssey represents. Well, by you continuing to employ that person, you basically condone and accept that message. But that visual right there, the way some people that are pro-Hamas have used that image, they're using it like it's the remember Jerry West was the logo for the NBA?
Yep.
Like the visual, like
yes, still is, right?
Yes, he still is. And like that's what that is right there. And you got somebody in your organization, in your administration, your agency promoting that, and it's acceptable because you use the word Free Palestine and not Hamas?
By the way, I could be wrong. I pulled these very early this morning, so I don't know if I'm wrong. But I don't think he actually answers the question on if this person has been fired or reprimanded.
I don't know that he got to the 4 things he was trying to say before Holly clotheslined him.
Well, it's so he goes into a monologue here after Holly kind of keeps going with what he was saying. This is the second part of that clip. Okay. And then Mayorkas brings up his heritage and why he is why he's immune from everything because of his background. Cut 16, Phil.
No, has she admitted, contrary to law, individuals who should not be in this country or denied Jewish refugees whose genocide she's advocating asylum that they deserve.
Same answer.
You're not going to tell us what this person's done? Are you conducting a review of her cases at least?
Senator, as I have said over and over again, I cannot speak to an ongoing.
You said that you will not.
matter.
I can't believe that you would come to this committee knowing this. You know about this.
Why
I've
can't you
written to
speak
about it?
Hang
You know
on, hang
all
on.
about it.
Why can't you speak to an ongoing personnel matter?
I have no idea. I mean, this is basically one of your low-level functionaries, so to speak. right?
Exactly.
This is somebody that works underneath you.
Either
I mean,
either yes, she's being dealt with, or yes, she's fired, or she's going
yeah,
to
right,
be.
right there. You just said it. Yes, we are. We are looking. You know, just give some sort of acknowledgement to the graphic, how it's unacceptable, and how you are conducting an investigation. You're combing through the evidence. You're doing your due diligence. Just say something, dude.
Yeah.
He had nothing for Hall. And by the way, this is the other thing that's so infuriating about these proceedings all the time.
He gets into it later on in the clip, by the way.
They just always seem to come unprepared. Like,
Yeah, I
you
know.
know what you're there
I know.
for. Like, at least come up with a lie that at least one person watching might believe.
It would like us. It's like us opening the microphone at 6 o'clock and be like, "Well, guys,
what do you want to get into today?
We got nothing today.
Yeah.
So, what do you want to talk about?
Right.
Dawn, you have any baking recipes that you think the
Yeah.
audience might want to know about?
That's
anything?
sports radio in July.
All right, I'm going to pick up where I left off, Phil. Go.
About it. And you come here unwilling to answer and suggest that it is wrong of me to ask you the question. Quite frankly, Mr. Secretary, I think that your performance is despicable. And I think the fact that you are not willing to provide answers to this committee is absolutely atrocious.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Like, if you'd like to have a minute to respond, you are welcome to.
I would, and I'm not sure I'll limit it to 60 seconds. That's fine. Number one, what I found despicable is the implication that this language, tremendously odious, actually it could be emblematic of the sentiments of the 260,000 men and women of the Department of Homeland Security. Number one. Number two, Senator Hawley takes an adversarial approach to me in this question, and perhaps he doesn't know my own background. Perhaps he does not know that I am the child of a Holocaust survivor. Perhaps he does not know that my mother lost almost all her family at the hands of the Nazis. And so I find his adversarial tone to be entirely misplaced. I find it to be disrespectful of me and my heritage, and I do not expect an apology, but I did want to say what I just articulated. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I just respond since he has referenced me personally?
Senator Hawley, we need to move on. Senator.
Nope, sorry.
No, can't do that, sir. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. I would argue that it's disrespectful to the American people that you come unprepared and unwilling to talk about what you are doing when Americans have legit concerns about their national security. So you want to talk about disrespectful, Mr. Mayorkas? I think it's disrespectful how you literally say nothing every time we have you front and center.
Tom on the YouTube chat writes that she did not get fired. Apparently, Hannity covered this on a show, and she did not get fired. So, interesting, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what the basis for her not being fired is, but I certainly would have.
I would imagine it's a pretty easy process, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's not like you have a contract or
exactly.
guaranteed money. So, all right, that'll do it for what's on the cut sheet. Tony Bruno is on deck, but right now at 8:25, we get to Dawn Stenzel's Big 3 at 8.
It's the Big 3 at 8 on Kayal and Company.
Big 3 at 8, sponsored this morning by Consumer Cellular on this day of frost and freeze warnings for this evening. And boy, Governor Phil Murphy had a bad Halloween night, speaking of a freeze out, saying he's outraged by global offshore wind developer Ørsted suddenly canceling the deal and pulling out of wind turbine projects. This is a huge local story with national ramifications. It's making international headlines right now. We're talking about Ocean Wind 1 and 2 including a massive 98-turbine wind farm that would have been built about 15 miles off the coast of Atlantic City. So Murphy hoping, of course, he had hoped that New Jersey would be a huge clean energy hub for the entire Northeast, building the largest wind farms in the nation. Not so much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But
another loss for Mr. Murphy.
Big loss for him.
Yeah, huge loss.
So the latest is that the Murphy administration is pursuing every legal avenue to sue or to legally perhaps force them back into the deal. So we're trying to follow these latest developments and legal maneuvers that the Murphy administration is putting forth. On a brighter note, New Jersey apparently will be an East Coast hub for Netflix. It's one step closer to building this new Netflix studio in the state. They want to create a $900 million production facility at the studio, and this would be Monmouth County at the Fort Monmouth Army Base there in Monmouth County.
Mm-hmm.
So huge for Netflix, a lot of jobs, as it would be an East Coast hub. Streaming service planning to build 12 sound stages, production support, a backlot. I would much rather have Nick Kayal and Mega Man and everybody go and, survey the new Netflix East Coast hub rather than like Kensington at night.
Yeah, that's
I'm just saying.
You're looking out for our safety.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much.
Be better.
All right.
This is the Day of the Dead. And here in Philadelphia, we do have, in the Philadelphia region, we have a growing population, Hispanic population, and especially a Mexican population. So the Day of the Dead, this is not Halloween. A lot of people confuse them. It's celebrated today, November 1st and November 2nd. It is said that November 1st, the children who have passed away come back to visit, and then the following day, the adults visit for the festivities.
God.
So we have major celebrations in, like Kennett Square. It's all week through Saturday, West Philadelphia, Love Park, music.
Like a hogwash. Seriously. Give me a break.
It's kind of cool.
It's like voodoo.
It is.
Is that what that's what that would be considered?
Well,
that's in the same like.
No, it's just it's all dopey.
Well, yeah.
Well, don't say that. It's a tradition. It's like
to who?
It's a huge. This goes back to the altar for the Dia de los Muertos.
Yeah.
It's a tradition. So we have a huge. I looked up the population, and according to the Census Bureau, 60 million United States residents are overall Latino and Hispanic. That's at 18.5% of the country's population. So 60 million, and nearly 250,000 live in the city of Philadelphia, which is more than 15% of the city's population.
I understand why Dawn said that out, because it's a Hispanic thing. People might take what I said as racist.
Yes.
It's
I know. I was trying to.
It's not. I had no idea that it was a Hispanic
right.
thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
He thought it was like a movie.
That,
because of you thought it was like a Hollywood thing off the Netflix because there was that little movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, it actually is a thing, and the Catholic schools have off today.
Do they
right?
really?
Because it's So I don't know if it's because everybody let the kids go out because we have All Saints Day.
Right.
There's a lot of Catholic traditions.
Day of the Dead
wrapped into this.
also the day when like senators and congressmen come back from the left. Like Dianne Feinstein will be making a return appearance.
Yes. But Love Park, a lot of food. They have sweetbreads and orange blossom and honey and all these great music and designers. So it's a big thing.
Big
so
thing.
It's all week.
Big day. Everything's a
Square.
week. Everything's a whole. You notice how celebrations now are stretched out for longer periods of time now? You ever notice that?
I kind of like it. I just want to find the best. I love Cuban food is my all-time favorite.
Mm-hmm.
So I always like put it out there. And I'm talking about an authentic Cuban restaurant. It's the best food ever.
Right.
It's like home cooked.
Better sandwich, the Cuban or the Reuben?
Oh my God, hands down Cuban.
I totally agree.
I
think the
food.
Reuben is incredibly overrated. Cuban all day.
Yeah.
Give me the pork.
So good.
Yes.
Oh, so good.
I'm not against the corned beef or anything like that, or the pastrami, but Cuban all day.
Well, the latest rankings are in. As you sift through your kids' Halloween candy bowl, researchers reveal which candy is the worst for your health or the most sugary.
Okay.
So number one, Nerds have the highest sugar quantity. And this is from a research group as well as Snunsboss put this out there. Twizzlers had the least sugar quality, followed by Red Vines. I don't even know what. Oh, the Red Vines are those little licorice. So the licorice has the least.
Yeah, I always loved a good Twizzler back in the day. It was kind of my go-to at the movie theater for a stretch.
Well, they're actually not bad for you.
Yeah.
Turns out, as you look at it.
Okay.
Sour Patch Kids. So Nerds number 1, Sour Patch Kids number 2.
Geez, Sour Patch Kids, the things you just drop into a vault of sugar and coat them with?
What a
I
shock.
never would have thought that.
Swedish Fish.
Oh, I love Swedish
Came in
Fish.
3rd.
Love it.
With 77 grams of sugar per 100 grams of product.
Yeah.
Basically, just one serving of these candies, it should be your entire sugar content for the day.
Wait. So that's one single Swedish fish
Yeah.
is the entire sugar you should eat in a day?
Yeah.
What's the number
my-
one?
Number
what's the
one was
Nerds.
Nerds. Number
I knew he was searching for something. I saw his brain operating over there.
So Nerds number 1, Sour Patch Kids number 2, Swedish Fish number 3, Candy Corn number 4, Skittles number 5, Sugar Babies 6, Sweet Tarts 7, Charms Blow Pops. You mentioned a Blow Pop the other day.
Yeah.
I forgot here. And I'm just looking through
Well,
what.
the Blow Pop has the gum inside of it.
Yes.
Which is great.
So the truth is, like, a Dove dark chocolate bar is not bad.
Yeah, I'm noticing all these candies are more of the fruit flavored
Yeah.
candies, not the chocolates.
Yeah, the chocolates are Twizzlers are the number 1 like lowest sugar content,
Yeah.
so healthier, if you will.
Yeah, very low energy. It's like the Jeb Bush of candy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop.
And by the way, Sean Farage, I should have ripped him yesterday, but he was on doing a guest spot, and he had me laughing so much I didn't even think about it. He had candy corn as his favorite candy,
That's the wrong answer.
which is I've never seen anybody that actually enjoys candy corn.
Yeah, it's horrendous.
I don't even know how it's still in production. Who eats it?
All right, let's
People
get to Tony.
decorate.
All
Okay,
right,
I got to
let's
go.
get Tony.
Consumer Cellular sponsor. They offer the exact same nationwide 5G coverage as major carriers. Even in bumper-to-bumper traffic, they're 100% U.S.-based support. Just a click or call away. Activation's always free. Visit consumercellular.com. Switch today. Kayal and Company, Big 3.
All right, Dawn, thank you very much. From Philadelphia down to Florida we go. It's a Wednesday. It's November 1st. The great Tony Bruno is with us. What up, man?
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I am not, by the way, I am not the new coach of the Raiders. The Raiders, while you were sleeping, have fired their coach and their general manager after the Monday night disembowelment on TV. And by the way, I was throwing we didn't have any kids trick-or-treating last night, so what I did instead, I had beads, and I live on a second-floor balcony, and I was throwing beads out to the hot Latina mamas.
Yeah.
And then throwing the candy down to the kids. Now, I know you've seen all the YouTube videos of people just grabbing candies out of balls. Did you see that one on Twitter, on YouTube?
No.
Where these people, they had some people, when I lived in LA, I worked at night, so I would leave a bowl of candy out on the step for people to come and take it.
Yeah.
And you figure when you live in LA and the hood in Venice, somebody's going to clean it out. But people didn't. They took one and left.
Really?
But now people are just taking this one family goes and takes everything out of the bowl.
Right. Well, it might have been meatball.
Meatball was right, because everybody must eat.
Everybody
must eat. Never
Exactly.
forget that, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we got a lot of good things to get to from news, politics, and sports. But you mentioned the Raiders firing. I don't know what it is with all these moves being made late at night when everybody's asleep. But locally, James Harden gets traded from the Sixers, and that happened at like 2 a.m. when everybody was in bed. Tony.
I know. What happens. I guess on the West Coast, you wake up later. It's Vegas. And you wake up in Vegas and it's 3 a.m. Actually, you go to sleep at 3 a.m. So they probably do this before they go to sleep for the night.
Yes.
Adam Schefter's up all night. All the trades happened yesterday. Everybody was upset that the Eagles didn't make a trade because, the Sixers traded James Harden. So then the Eagles had to make a move. And I'm glad they didn't. They didn't need to make another move.
That's right.
They got young players and they're getting them in there. But I know, Nick, you're a big college football thing. You know what I say about the college football polls? Who cares? It's like getting a Gallup poll now for next year's election.
That's right.
It's like watching the next GOP primary where there'll be 3 people on the stage.
Yes.
I mean, how many people are still standing in this Republican nomination thing? And what is that thing going to be canceled?
They should cancel it. There's actually articles out today that says everybody should drop out except for Trump and Nikki Haley. Clear the stage. DeSantis, Christie, Vivek, go home. Tim Scott, you're wasting your time. Everybody should just drop off by the wayside, Tone.
What's Chris Christie going to do now other than keep going to buffets and
Sloppy
what's he
Chris
going to
Christie.
do next? Everybody must eat.
Everybody must
including
eat.
Chris Christie. Yes.
You're darn right. Let me get your thoughts on this. Let me actually stay with sports for a moment because we've mentioned the James Harden trade. We'll get to Joe Biden. We're going to get to this COVID lockdown story with the New York Magazine and some other stuff as well. But I know that this is a very important week for you. You have made it clear for 40-plus years that there is nobody, and I'm quoting Tony Bruno directly here, nobody on God's green earth that hates the Dallas Cowboys more than this journalist right here. So Eagles-Cowboys hate week, Tony. It's only a Wednesday. If we were doing sports, would you have a slow build-up or would you be fired up today?
No, I'm already in full. I'm already in full Dallas Cowboy. And by the way, Stephen A. Smith, who I know and known forever, his hatred of the Cowboys. I was hating on the Dallas Cowboys back in the 90s when they were good.
Yes.
Stephen A. Smith was a writer for the Philadelphia Inquirer back then.
That's right.
So I've been hating on. Now everybody wants to be the #1 Dallas Cowboy basher in America.
Mm-hmm.
And I already hold that. It's documented. You know, as they say, go back and check the tape.
Yep.
I'm telling you, it's documented. I've been America's, and even the Cowboys know it. Troy Aikman, when I talk to him, says, I loved listening to you when you used to bash us back in the early 90s on ESPN radio.
Yep.
Michael Irvin's a good friend. Jay Novacek, all those Cowboy guys. The thing about sports hate versus political hate versus real hate is that sports hate is fun for the most part. You know what I mean? But so the Cowboy players, they know the guys from the good teams, those Cowboy dynasty years. And now Chris Christie, will he be coming to the stadium to watch the Eagles and Cowboys? Which box is he going to be up in?
And is he going to run up a big tab and have the taxpayers bail him out?
Will Phil Murphy put in his new teeth and go up into the box and drop about 10 large watching the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday? I mean, that's a 4:25 game.
That's right.
So I guess the drinking starts at what, 7 a.m.?
Yeah.
The bars
At
open
least.
at 7 a.m.
That's correct.
on Sunday.
Rise and shine, pour a cocktail, it's go time.
By the way, don't count on SEPTA, because now I'm reading this morning that like all the SEPTA subways, there's no drivers showing up. First of all, even if you get on SEPTA, it's not safe. But now all of a sudden this morning, like all these SEPTA bus drivers are either calling in sick or they're observing All Saints Day, and I don't think that's the case.
Yes. Well, I mean, can you blame them? I'm not sure if we talked about this with you last week or if this story happened after we had you on Wednesday. We had a SEPTA bus driver that got shot and killed by a 21-year-old female, I believe. And Dawn, correct me if I'm wrong, 6 times she shot that individual?
And now apparently she's been involved in other shootings.
Yes. Yep.
And there's video. And then at Temple, on the Temple campus, my alma mater.
Yep.
You know, there's guys walking up and putting guns to students' heads in the morning as they're trying to go to school.
Horrendous.
What is going on back there, as the great Harry Mays used to say? What is going on out there?
Exactly right. Tony, you mentioned sports, news, and politics and hatred and how some of it's just fun and games. One last one on the sports front, and then we'll get to some of the Biden stuff. I think on Sunday the hatred was real because Kenneth Gainwell, one of our running backs on the Eagles that spells DeAndre Swift, fumbles in the red zone. And he says, you know what, I guarantee you there's probably people out there that are tweeting me right now their displeasure. At halftime in the locker room, he's responding to critics that are sending him direct messages. If you're the head coach, I mean, you got to say something, right?
How do you get into the DMs of a player if he's not following you?
It's a great question.
I mean, I don't understand that. I can't DM Kenneth Gainwell. I can't DM any of these players. I can't even DM Michael Irvin, who's a friend of mine, and I have his phone number.
Robin won't even let you in her DMs.
I slide into her DMs, though. That's a private matter. We don't deal with that. We deal with that after the show. No, but I don't get that. And I saw Nick Sirianni addressed it and said, you can't be doing that stuff. It's halftime, man. We got to go out and beat this stinking Washington Commanders team so they can dismantle their entire defensive line and help everybody else in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get that. Why would you go into the locker room with your cell phone and check your email or check your Twitter?
Right.
Or whatever he's checking.
Right.
That's what happens when you're young. You know, when he played at Memphis, we love Kenneth Gainwell. I mean, the guy's a great player. That spinorama he did against the Dolphins was phenomenal, was it not?
It was. Now, if he was trying to delete emails at halftime, I would understand that, especially if he had 82,000 pages of emails, because eventually your phone's going to freak out and go on the fritz. Joe Biden, in the latest story that we opened up with this morning, Tony, had 82,000 pages of emails from 3 different, quote, burner email accounts. This was so voluminous, it makes Hillary Clinton's emails look JV-ish. Your thoughts to Joe in what looks like clearly more evidence of corruption?
Well, I mean, obviously, Joe, he didn't have bleach spit. He didn't have a hammer. He didn't have all the other stuff going on that Hillary had access to after still denying that election in 2016. That's what I love about, you're an election denier. You guys talking about the COVID. You know what I call myself? I'm one of those people. I got the shots and all that other stuff, and I don't tell people what to do with their bodies. Bottom line is, all of us who were skeptical, and is it quizzical? What's the other word we use? Skeptical. We were hesitant. We were asking questions, things that journalists used to do.
Right.
We would ask obvious questions like, how come there's no side effects being listed? And things like that, which were important. And now all of a sudden, these people are doing mea culpas and there's more evidence against Fauci.
Mm-hmm.
And Fauci did other stuff and he's still getting awards.
Right.
Nobody's being held accountable. I'm not going to say I told you so. I'm not an I told you so guy. I want people to be held accountable. Everybody. We're all held. I've been held accountable for my actions. Why aren't the people who helped destroy this country being held accountable? Why are people going on Bill Maher and saying, well, what we knew at the time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, what you knew at the time was you're a scientist and you just went along with the stupid, whatever the politicians and the pharmaceutical companies told you to go along with.
Right.
How about using your common sense and saying, we don't know. It's funny because I remember when the vaccines came out, I'm not going to take that vaccine. It was under Trump. How could it be ready? And then boom, the second Biden gets in. We got to take the vaccine and you're not going to get COVID if you don't take the shots.
Mm-hmm.
And now people don't want the shots and they're being charged $200 for the shots in some places. Did you see that?
Yep.
And then they have to get the money back. Are you going to pay $200 to get a COVID shot and then hope that the government reimburses you or your health insurance company? It's ridiculous.
Well, and that's the ultimate hypocrisy, Tony, is when it was Trump's administration, it was Operation Warp Speed. We have sound bites and clips and receipts of those on the left saying, I'm not taking that. And then as soon as the power changes from R to D, it's like, hey, take this. This is the magic elixir. You won't get COVID. You won't spread COVID, and you're going to be good to go. And we remember herd immunity and Fauci trotting out, hey, if we get 80% of the population vaxxed, this thing could be gone forever. Come on.
Everything turned out to be a lie. And that's why, we were called election deniers and everything else. No, how about we're skeptical about things, especially when it comes to the government.
Yep.
It's fine to be skeptical about the government because we are funding the government. Without us, there is no government.
That's
so
right.
maybe we should just all go open our windows and scream out, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. That'll stop everything. By the way, you know what the number one job is right now in America?
Conservative talk show host.
No. It's ripping down pictures and posters of the Israeli people. It's now like it's a cottage industry.
Yep.
It's a cottage industry right now. How is it that all these people in every city in the United States and all over the world are suddenly ripping down posters of missing Israeli people? And now they're just going out there. These are all the same people who were on Occupy Wall Street, BLM riots.
Mm-hmm.
They just get different jobs. They get handed it's like Mission Impossible. This is your next mission.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to go out there and tear down all these pictures, even though you have no idea what you're doing.
That's correct.
You're going to do it anyway. And you're going to go
correct.
find all those headpieces and everything else, and you're going to march on the streets.
Yep.
I mean, let people see what's going on here. And listen, I'm not upset about it. I mean, this whole thing is a joke. What's happening around the world is scary. But luckily, I don't worry about that stuff. I mean, it's going to be 83 degrees, sunny.
Stop.
I'll be outside.
Stop.
I'll be going to work right after this and continuing my 15-hour days. I was ready to retire down here.
Yes.
I was ready to come down, relax, build a house, and watch the sunset every afternoon, the sunrise every morning.
Yep.
And now I'm working harder now than I ever did before. Why?
Yes.
Why?
And let's talk about that for a moment, because you have now launched your brand new Tony Bruno Sports Network. Is that correct?
Wow.
Yes. Now I'm an owner. I'm an actual owner, and I feel like I'm a slave now. When you're an owner, you have to be everything with my name on it. You have to take blame for it initially, because it's not. Elon Musk bought Twitter a year ago, and he's still tweaking.
Right.
I started a network on Monday. And obviously there's some technical things you have to deal with, but it's going great. I'm doing 15-hour days. I'm up at 6 in the morning. I'll go to bed at 9 o'clock at night, turn on sports and fall asleep. And watching that baseball game last night when it was 10-0 earlier, that was easy to turn on.
Horrendous
I know
series.
you, Nick, were probably watching that college football last
I was
night,
watching MACtion, baby, the MAC conference on a Tuesday night, Bruno.
Oh, my God.
You know that.
What
By
a
the way,
nerd.
have you seen how bad the ratings are for the World Series? The Phillies and the Rangers would probably get good numbers, but nobody in the country is paying attention to the Rangers and the Diamondbacks.
Nobody cares.
And it's not nobody, but you're right, because the bottom line is baseball has become a regional sport now.
Yep.
And unless you have two major markets, and listen, Arizona, Phoenix is not exactly a small town.
No.
And the Texas Rangers have never won a World Series when they came into the league. So they're trying for their first. They're up 3-1. I like watching baseball, especially postseason, because that's what's all that matters. It's like not watching it's like watching the NBA, watching the full regular season of the NBA, and then not watching the playoffs, right? Nobody watches the regular season of the NBA or Major League Baseball. They wait for the playoffs, except in baseball, nobody watches the playoffs unless the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Mets, and now the Phillies are one of those, big money teams. So they get a lot of interest, and the fans show it. The people in Arizona, you could see it on their faces last night. They were like, hey, we're happy to be here. We weren't supposed to be here, but give them credit, man. So I think this series is over, and I'm happy for the Texas Rangers fans. I'd rather the Rangers win than the Dallas Cowboys. How about
Exactly
that?
right.
I want the Rangers to win, and then the Cowboys to just, get smacked around on Sunday night.
You're damn
Sunday
right.
afternoon, 4:25 start.
That's right. People will be well lubed up for about a good 10, 12 hours before that game kicks off.
By the way, I did not eat one piece of candy last night.
Oh.
I did not have any Halloween. The only ones I like are Kit Kats. I want
Amen.
Kit Kats. None of that other stuff. Candy corn and remember the tape where you used to bite off the little sugar nuggets on the tape?
Yeah.
The long string of tape. All that stuff's nasty, man.
It
Kit
is.
Kats. Kit Kats and Reese's peanut butter cups.
Kit
That's
Kats are
it.
the best.
Yes.
They're the best candy.
Or
They're
Crackle. If you want to,
Yeah.
if there's no Kit Kats, give me Crackle.
Actually,
They
if
still
we're-
make Crackle.
If we're going frozen, Dawn, I go frozen Snickers bars.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Snickers bars are the
ice cream.
yeah, absolutely.
Snickers ice cream bars.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, thank
Yes.
you. Thank
Nothing
you.
like a chilled peanut butter cup, though. You stick that in the refrigerator for a couple
absolutely.
hours.
Absolutely.
Comes out beautiful.
Absolutely.
Starving.
How do you eat
Now
your
you're
Reese's,
talking.
Tony? All right. One or two other things. Bruno's with us live from Florida, as he is every Wednesday here on Kayal and Company. Got about 5 minutes left here. We've talked, some sports. We've talked some politics. We talked some COVID as well. So this is actually a tie-in to all three of them, as Aaron Rodgers has now come out and endorsed RFK Jr. for president. And then you have a well-known football writer. I'm not sure who he's with now. He used to be at CBS Sports for many years, Dennis Dodd. I think he's probably in his late 50s to early 60s. He says that Aaron Rodgers is a danger to society because of his stance on the vaccine. Your thoughts on this one, Tony Bruno?
I know he's a danger to democracy because everybody that doesn't agree with somebody else is a danger to democracy.
I am woke, mother. And I
Yeah,
love
exactly. I mean, I'm awake. I'm not woke.
You are wired today, though.
Well, I'm always wired because you got to get up. When you own a sports network, when your name is on a sports network.
Yeah.
By the way, it's digital only, so you got to go download the app if you want to listen to it.
Okay.
24. I'm on 24/7 now, Nick.
Yeah.
24/7, and people can't get enough.
Are you requiring your employees to be vaccinated, and do you hire conservatives?
I hire anybody who's willing to work for nothing until we build this thing up. And you wouldn't believe all the people who are calling me for jobs.
Of
I'm
course.
getting messages all over the country. And the good thing is you don't have to be here in Southwest Florida. But most people are coming down here. The people where it snowed yesterday all over the place.
Yeah.
Guess where those people are heading right now? They're not heading north. They're coming down here.
Exactly.
How do you
The
get it?
Southwest.
How do you download the app, Tony?
You just go to the Apple Store.
Yep.
Or you go to the Play Store on the Apple Store is you just have to put in Tony Bruno Sports Network.
Oh, I see it. I see it. There
the
it is.
app's right there, and you can listen to it. We're running
Get.
reruns because we don't have 24-hour programming yet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And Dad, don't forget Goldenberg's peanut chews. A Philadelphia legend.
So good.
They get stuck in your teeth, though. They're
By the
awesome.
By the way, just for the people listening, it's free. It's free to download. I just downloaded it.
It's free. Yeah, it's a
myself.
free app. You don't have to pay anything.
So Stocker's
And we're
already
just getting started.
Stocker's already shilling for downloads for your
No,
app. 'cause
no, I'm just
he's had his fill of our stuff that he shills for. Now he'll shill for you too.
I mean, I've never had an app except the Chili's the other day, but and the Dollaritas are back.
Half price,
But
baby.
No, how many times of all the years I've been doing this, I've never had an app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have my own app now.
Tony brings
In
it.
the app.
Tony brings
in
it
the
for
App
us every
Store.
week. So I figured
Yeah.
it's a great way to, get them some downloads.
Exactly.
Well, thank you. No,
You
we're
notice-
doing well, actually.
Yeah. Did you notice how Tony pivoted away from the Rogers question? It was like
No,
Alejandro
listen,
Mayorkas.
I ripped the guy, that Dennis Dodd and all these other
Yes.
guys. I joked, my cheap shot was, no. Aaron Rodgers is a danger to democracy, and he should be silenced. He should be taken off the internet.
Yep.
He should not be allowed to tweet. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. I hear you.
Brian Harris points out, with Tony's new 16-hour-a-day schedule running a new network and still time for us here in Philly, this man is a treasured legend.
Exactly.
The check's in the mail, Brian. Thanks for checking in.
Damn right. That's why we have him on the show. All right,
All right,
Bruno.
where's my gear? Where's my swag?
Oh, Kayal & Company stuff?
Well, you want a Kayal & Company hoodie?
Yeah. What
right.
am I, chopped liver here?
All right.
Listen, shouldn't I got my own shirt. You see my shirt here?
No.
See what it says?
Let me see.
What does it say?
Let me see. This is my own shirt.
Zoom in, box 4.
WTF.
WTF.
Welcome to Florida.
Oh, well,
welcome to Florida. WTF, welcome to Florida.
With the Bruno signature on it. That's a nice little touch.
It's a signature edition.
Good stuff by you.
They're worth so much more when you get the signature on there. You know what I'm saying?
All right, so
you have the signature on your shirts, Nick?
No, I do not. But what we'll do is we'll get the Biden negotiating team over here, and we'll broker a deal, like hostages being exchanged, like a Russian killer for Brittany Griner. You send me a Welcome to Florida shirt, and I'll send you a Kayal & Company shirt.
We'll do like the jersey exchange at the end of the football game. But we have to sweat in them,
right?
And then we'll take them off live on next week's show,
correct?
And we'll exchange them, all sweaty and stuff, with our signature. Dawn, you can participate too if you'd like.
Wow,
You can do
nice.
a shirt exchange.
Nice.
Everybody's eligible for this.
Dawn shirt exchange.
Dawn will be taking her shirt off on YouTube in a couple minutes, folks.
There we go.
There you go for all you perverts.
Miss Robin
Yes.
and I will
Yes.
be doing that.
Robin will
For
do
charity.
it too. She says if Dawn does it, she'll do
No,
it.
there we go.
For charity.
For charity.
All right, Bruno, get out of here, man. Get out of here.
All right, I'm going to my other job now.
There he goes. Tony Bruno Sports Network. Download the app in Apple Play and wherever
Good
you
night,
get your
everybody.
apps. There he is, as Tony Bruno would say.
Just give me the damn 5-day forecast and try to be accurate. That's all I want.
That's all he wants, as he runs the sports network now. All right, so good stuff there with Bruno. Here's what we got coming up in the final hour. This is going to be good. I've got a couple of stories in the world of schools and universities, from a homeschooling surge that we are seeing in the United States, to also the NCAA, where 9 governors have joined this petition to protect women's sports at the collegiate level. We'll get into that on the other side. And then also some fun stuff, including we heard plenty from Mr. Blinken in the cut sheet. Antony, A-N-T, no H-O-N-Y. Take a guess as to what he dressed his kid up for Halloween as.
Oh, no.
You're never going to believe this, and it's one of the most tone-deaf things of all time, but it's so typical of this administration. We'll get to that before we get out of here this morning as well. Final hour of Kayal & Company is coming up in just a few moments as we continue. Nick, Dawn, and Greg on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
And the future of joint pain relief is right here in the Philadelphia region. It's QC Kinetics, advanced regenerative medicine. So many of you have told me, Dawn, it feels like a miracle in my life. So here's the deal. If you've been told that more steroids or surgery are your only options, just hold up for a second here. Get a second opinion. Learn more about how you can harness your body's own healing agents to attack that joint pain directly and deal with it. And I'm talking lasting relief here. QC Kinetics does not mask the pain. That's not what this is about. These treatments go to the very core of the problem using concentrated healing properties placed directly into your joint, your aching joint, so that they restore and repair that damaged joint tissue. So think about this. Just living your life this fall. No more pain in your knees, your aching hips, your shoulder, your back. No drugs, no downtime, no surgery. Life is about moving. It's about motion. As we come up on the fall and the holiday season, QC Kinetics is giving people their lives back with these all-natural treatments. Just call them. Call the local medical professionals. Get a free consultation. Do this today. QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. 215-999-3000. 215-999-3000. QC Kinetics. Would you just call them today? 215-999-3000. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. Rescue Natural Supplements' unprecedented Black Friday sale is back again this year. The savings are bigger and better than ever. Right now, they're slashing prices on all supplements with discounts ranging from 50 to an incredible 80% off the total cost. Rescue has a wide array of products to address your health needs, including immunity, cholesterol support, heart health, and natural energy enhancers. It's 50% off omega-3s, probiotics, and so much more. And one more thing, this Rescue Black Friday sale will run the entire month of November. So shop today at res-q.com, res-q.com, or call a Rescue product consultant 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. Again, all Rescue supplements are 50 to 80% off during the entire month of November. So why wait? Start shopping at res-q.com today or call 800-26-ALIVE.
A psoriasis flare-up can make a walk in the park, well, no walk in the park.
It's that obvious, huh? I've tried so many lotions and creams, but I still have symptoms.
So those don't do enough to treat the inflammation beneath the skin, leaving you with those uncontrolled symptoms.
Makes sense, but what else can I do?
You can get real with your dermatologist so they can help you get clear. Make an appointment and, oh, you're already on it.
Hi, yes, I'd like to make an appointment.
Get real clear about psoriasis at letsgetrealclear.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, tested and inspected fire protection systems, first aid and safety supplies, on-site AED training, or mops and restroom products, stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together. So visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Hi, it's John DeMasi, host of Health Watch, Sunday mornings at 8 and again at 4 here on Talk Radio 1210. If you or someone you know has been diagnosed with cancer or undergoing treatments that cause severe fatigue or brain fog, medical hydration may be right for you. Dr. Molly Fantasia of Innovative Medical Associates has more than 30 years' experience in helping cancer patients to improve their quality of life.
We believe in medical hydration. We've improved it so much that we are able to help people across the board with challenges before they become chronic.
Nutrients delivered right to the cells support your immune system through surgery, chemotherapy, or wherever you may be on your cancer journey. Visit innovativemedicalassociates.com to schedule a free consultation with Dr. Molly in their Marlton, New Jersey office. And join us on Sunday mornings at 8 and again at 4 for Health Watch to learn more about the benefits of medical hydration for cancer, autoimmune diseases, and more.
Is the IRS after you? Do you owe them more than you'll ever be able to pay? Are they levying your bank account, garnishing your paycheck? Are you staying up all night worrying they'll take everything you have? Are they bullying you into doing something you know is wrong? If so, you need somebody on your side that's not afraid to go toe-to-toe with them. Somebody that's not afraid to fight them. Somebody experienced in beating them at their own game and helping you. That person is Charles Montesino. He's a certified public accountant and certified tax resolution specialist. He's one of fewer than 200 in the entire country with both designations. He's known as the tax problem solver because he solves tax problems. The IRS is the biggest collection agency in the world. They don't always play fair. You need to even the playing field. Stop being bullied and get help from a professional that knows how to beat them. Call 609-970-4634. That's 609-970-4634. He's the taxpayer's advocate. He works for you. That's 609-970-4634.
WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Comedian Joe Conklin.
It's Chip Snapper's Tap Room.
By the way, the girls on the avenue wanted me to let you know that even though the Phillies didn't go all the way this year, they will, and it'll only cost you about $11.
That's Conklin's comedy show at St. Ignatius Church in Yardley, November 4th, and the Sillersville Theater on November 18th. For tickets, go to joeconklin.com.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly rated hospitals across the U.S. Accuracy matters, so make Exergen the chosen thermometer for your home and family.
Hey, Paoli, we know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Oh, yeah, 9 o'clock. Fourth and final hour underway. Kayal Company live on this Wednesday, the 1st of November. Good to have all of you in. I am going to have Tony Bruno tested for caffeine, Red Bull, sugar, candy. Next segment. He's got to take a random screening because he was absolutely jacked this morning. Doesn't sound like a guy that's working 15-hour days. He was fired up. Good stuff out of Tony Bruno. We've got the morning mystery movie clip coming up at 9:20 this morning. Another chance to get yourself a $50 gift card to the Metro Diner. Also a chance for you to confuse our phone screeners, derail the show, have me blow a gasket live on the air and stand up and start yelling. I see the movie. It's in the email. I have it in the hopper, and we know exactly what it is. But the question is, do you? And more importantly, do our people in the back know what it is?
I think they do.
We'll give them a $50 gift card if they get it right today as well.
Absolutely.
So,
by the way, if you missed it yesterday in the 9 o'clock, in this portion of the program yesterday, we put the clip up on Twitter, as we put a lot of clips up on Twitter, just at 1210WPHT on Twitter. Give us a follow, and the clip is up there if you missed it from yesterday.
That is correct. Coming up about 9:35, what's on the cut sheet part due?
By the way, the boys in the back, Phil and Daniel, did a great job of, because it actually kind of happened within like a 15-minute span, and they did a very good job of like splicing it together.
I love that.
So, so if you want the condensed version, it's like a 4-minute version. You can go to YouTube or you can go to Twitter and see it there.
That's correct. We'll find out what's on tap for the Dawn Show. And speaking of Twitter, who won Twitter today? This is a very interesting trend, and I'm a little conflicted on how I would do this if I was at the point where I'm thinking about homeschooling my kids. The Washington Post has a very interesting breakdown with a graph talking about homeschooling's rise from fringe to fastest growing form of education. And they looked at it on a district by district look, and they have a breakdown of kind of the trend and the accelerated growth that we're seeing in this field by a state by state basis since the 2017-2018 school year. So you go back, we'll call that, 6 school years ago. And in Pennsylvania alone, we have seen a 62% increase in homeschooling. Some other states of note with very high percentages, New York at 103%, California at 78%, Washington, D.C., 108%, and also Tennessee, one of the higher ones, at 77%. Some of the lower levels, Mississippi, 20%, Georgia, 10%, Maryland, 6%, Delaware's only 20%, New Mexico barely even registers at 1%. So basically no growth in those areas. But I was thinking about this, and you have options today, or at least you're hoping for more options. You can continue sending your child to whatever school district you reside in, public school. Of course, there's private schools, there's charter schools, there's Catholic schools. We've talked a lot, and I know, Dawn, you talk a lot about school vouchers and school choice. And then, of course, there's the homeschooling aspect. And I think it would take, it's not so much what it would take for me to put my kids in homeschooling. I just feel, and I could be wrong, and maybe this is an overreaction from the pandemic, I just feel like people need to get out of their houses. Like, and I know I'm kind of against the work from home mindset when we talk about people, making their way back to the office and, I enjoyed it and I could, and then you find out people get their computers tracked by their employers. And I know there is a lot of upside to homeschooling, but me personally, I would want my kids, and I don't work from home, obviously, but I would want my kids out of school. I'd want them to go on a bus. I want them to be around other children. I want them to get a cold. I want them to get into a little kerfuffle with somebody. It's like the stuff that you just need to be around as a human being. Dawn, I know you didn't homeschool your children, but like, do you think there's enough benefits that really justify this rise? I mean, yes, the left-wing indoctrination and all the school nonsense that we talk about with gender identity and all this other stuff, and not telling parents what's going on with their pronouns and stuff like that. But we're seeing in Pennsylvania about a 62% increase in 6 years. Do you think the means justify the end, or
Yes.
the end justifies the means?
I do. And Pennsylvania, by the way, is one of the number one states in the nation for homeschooling. So it's a great environment. They really provide. They provide the books. They make it easy, and so there's a huge homeschooling community.
Mm-hmm.
So to your point about socialization, I will just say, because I thought about it, I actually took classes, and I really did think about it at one point because I believe in it. But I know so many people who do, and especially because of the pandemic, they lost their jobs or their job situation is altered so much.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they changed jobs. Now they can work from home. Maybe it's part-time. And so they can, a lot of women especially.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no childcare out there. It's so crazy to pay
Right.
for it.
It is.
If you can even find competent
Mhm.
childcare. So, and that's even before, they start kindergarten. But for many reasons, I think it is worth it.
Yeah.
You get a higher quality education. And I will say this, the state still has to provide all the materials, the books,
Mhm.
and you are allowed to still have your kid go to the local school, participate in sports,
Right.
arts, music projects, and that sort of thing. So it can be a hybrid mode. And Pennsylvania is really supportive of that.
So, from an education, and we're talking here about in person. This is not a virtual thing. You have a teacher, somebody actually teaching your child. Is that correct? In the home setting?
You the parent. Well, rich people, I guess you could.
Okay.
If you were wealthy.
Because we always look at schools, like especially when you get to college, what's the student to teacher ratio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it 25-1? Is it 17-1? So like that 1-to-1 element, I think from an education standpoint is great because your entire focus is focused on that one child. I'm just kind of looking at it, and I know you talk about the sports. I'm looking at it from the social skills and the socialization. Socialization. Boy, that was a tough one. Hold on a second.
Anyway. There's just some words too, man.
Yeah.
I just can't.
God.
Yeah, exactly.
I would want my kid to be a part of that as far as just recess, going into the cafeteria for 35 minutes. Those are kind of the fun things of school. And then eventually, and I used to bust Kristen Stones about this because she went to Catholic school, and the school that she went to was Notre Dame High School, and it was pretty expensive. And then she went to Temple University. And I think there was kind of like a culture shock, so to speak, from going from, one sort of, I don't want to say prestigious or snooty type institution to a public school in the middle of a hellhole. There's a learning curve to that. And I to some extent, I feel like that kind of stifles the range of, I hate to use the word diversity because I hate the whole DEI nonsense, but you need to be around other sorts of things, don't you? That's the way, unless I'm looking at it like a caveman. I don't know.
No, you still could. You still can go to your local public school and sign your kid up for any extracurricular,
Mm-hmm.
and including arts, music, if they have that, any sports, any running clubs. Your kid can still be involved in all of that. And sometimes the local school will work with you. Like, let's say you want them there to be present for a certain math class.
Mhm.
It depends on the school. But a lot of parents, what they've told me is that the kids are so accelerated and they love it and they have more free time.
Renee on the YouTube chat writes, I homeschooled my kids. We had so much socialization available that we had to cut some of it out in order to get our work done.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Well, here's my question for the homeschoolers out there is that we're seeing, and the pandemic move this along. We're seeing a lot more parents get involved in school board meetings, coming in and questioning the curriculum, questioning books, and all that stuff, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
My question for you guys is that if you ever want to win the debate, if you ever want to change schools for the better, the object, or in my opinion, it's not cutting and running and saying, well, I'm just going to take my kids out of it and teach them myself.
Showing up at school board meetings?
It's showing up at school board meetings and changing the culture that's happening at schools, is it not?
Challenging it, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Teach your kids that
you can still do that. you can still, if you're a homeschooling parent, you can certainly
Yeah.
still go to the school board. You're still part of the community. You're still a taxpayer.
It's just another reason to.
But who can afford this?
To separate everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're all in these silos now where it's just we only listen to and read things we agree with, and we only, associate with people that think the same way that we do.
It almost feels like it's like a form of segregation,
And
right?
this is just another reason for the separation to occur. So all the liberal, quote unquote liberal kids will be in public school, and all the conservative kids will be at home. So like where's the socialization aspect of this? Like,
I'm just
But they still are socialized. That's what I'm trying to say.
But
You still can do all the sports. You can, and by the way, not for nothing, but it's not just school. Go to your community center. Go to your church. Go to your local. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on.
It's just another reason to separate our kids.
But don't you have to
and
learn
separate
to,
each other?
You have
It's
to
just
learn to
not-
coexist with people
Yeah,
that you
it's-
don't think like.
It's
the
not
same?
healthy. Mingle with people that you don't agree with.
They
Stop.
you guys,
In a
they
w-
spend so much time. You
Yeah.
have no idea. And Greg, just wait. Just wait. Remember how before you had a kid, you made fun of me about Applebee's? Just wait.
Listen. I kept my kid home for a year and a half. And broke my bank with a nanny because I didn't want him in school having to wear a mask.
Right.
Yeah.
So like I'm all for stuff like that. I'm just saying that we need to stop with this separating each other.
In a
Like,
way, you're almost I feel like, and look, you do whatever you want. It's your own kid. I feel like you're almost canceling him or her for the sake of, well,
You're not canceling them. You are giving them, when you homeschool
So then
or
what hap-
send your kid to a private school, you are giving you're prioritizing your child's education. And you wouldn't believe, even in the private schools, the junk, just the hours they spend on stuff.
That's
all
not
this
relevant.
gender identity stuff,
Right.
it's everywhere. The DEI
All right.
stuff,
Okay,
it's like,
so-
oh my gosh.
Okay, so what happens
It's a waste
when
of their time.
So what happens when they have to go to college then? Then what? And then what happens when they go in the workforce? And God forbid, they're in a work environment where people may disagree with them somewhere.
Well, no,
Like-
it's not
like,
about disagreements. It's,
we talk about
it's choosing the time. It's in other words, you're focusing on teaching. So what happens is your kid's going to, first of all, be better off because they're going to know more, because we are distracting our kids to the point. And where's the mental health crisis? You know what? I would love to see a study, homeschooled kids in the mental health crisis versus public school kids, state by state, city by city, and throughout the country. It's all about their quality of their education, and every grade matters.
I'm going to point out some stats here for just one locale in a moment. But I think the question that needs to be answered is, you talk about, you're not just given a teacher. You have to teach them so you have to have, as a parent, the ability to potentially work from home or be in a situation where maybe one spouse makes so much money that you don't have to work. So in this economy, in this Biden economy, how can you afford to homeschool your child? I mean, most people with two-family incomes right now are still struggling to meet, whatever needs, every 2 weeks or
It's
every
a
month.
sacrifice.
I mean,
I know a mom right now. She's an engineer, highly skilled
Yeah.
engineer, and you go, wow, if you saw her resume,
Right.
She's homeschooling their 4 kids because they have that commitment. She's brilliant,
Mhm.
and guess what? Her kids, they are going to benefit for their entire life because of what they're learning. But I'll tell you something. Yesterday afternoon, let me just tell you, for about an hour and a half, I was on the phone. This is my life with these families out in Chester County. I'm not going to say where. There was a threat. One kid in the school. This is these are 12-year-olds.
Okay.
One boy, and this is happening right now. There's a police investigation. So there's a threat against the 12-year-olds. Somebody screenshotted it on one of the social media sites, and this boy was saying who he wants to rape and kill, mostly girls who barely know the guys in a class. The kid is now going to go back to school, and so the parents are all upset about it. The principal, basically, the school releases to them some email that's like basically a standard email, not personalized. They're freaked out. This is the kind of stuff that, and this, by the way, is a school that a year ago they were upset because they had a drag queen show, which was really inappropriate and sexual for like kids as young as 6.
Yeah, of course
at
it
the
is.
school.
Right.
So they're all about DEI. When you look at their website, whatever. This is the kind of stuff that families who move to a certain area have to deal with. And
Yeah.
at some point, people say, you know what? That's it. we're going to homeschool. And part of it, Greg, is the mental health issue. And you go ahead and start looking at school districts, even where you live, wherever you live, right? Everybody do this. Just look up police blotters. And that's what I did for like 30 minutes yesterday going through. You won't believe how many threats these schools and local police have to deal. And these are threats of like, I want to murder Joey. You know what I mean?
Here's
crazy.
Here's the catch-20.
News.
No, this is real. I mean, I wish the parents would call in and talk to you. Like, I deal with this stuff all the time, but sometimes people just have had it.
Well, here's the catch-22 that you're in. And I'm not trying to straddle the fence here, but you both make interesting points. Greg's saying it's not, don't cowardly, go into homeschooling, challenge it, show up at school board meetings, and, put resistance to this. But then, Dawn, and you've seen this, and Meg Brock has highlighted this, when you do show up at the school board meetings, you're labeled to be
they're
a
gonna
radical,
cancel you.
a right-winger, you're a Moms for Liberty or terrorist.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you're a coward for being homeschooled. That is never what I said.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that we need to get out of these silos where we're just talking to people and involved in things where it's only like what we agree with or what, it's not healthy as
that's what happens.
as a society.
That's what you see on Twitter. Everybody goes to their own little corner and
That's
just
what I mean.
reshares everybody's similar opinions.
We're just further alien, like social media, and now with video games where you can talk on headsets and everything like that.
Yeah.
We're just taking the joy and the socialization and the camaraderie just away from everybody, and it's not healthy.
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
I think there's a segment of the population that was sick of society before the pandemic.
I'm sick of society.
And the pandemic created this excuse to have less face-to-face human communication skills and interactions. So now everybody has resorted to social media or texting. I mean, if you can get somebody to FaceTime with you, that's a blessing these days. Nobody will pick up the phone.
It's just interesting to me. And Dawn, please don't. I'm not taking this as a shot at you. You know I love you. But like, it's just interesting to me that all the people who were like, yes, homeschool, never homeschooled. You know what I mean? Like it's just, okay, if it's so great, then put your money where your mouth is and homeschool. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, in theory, it's a good idea, but just in the reality of it, because it's such a financial sacrifice, and like, then one parent can't work, and hopefully the other parent makes a ton of money because, you know what I mean? Like, it's not...
But
it's not always feasible.
But it's also, to your point,
it's not feasible to a lot of people.
It's a very small, percentage-wise, the Washington Post is telling you we're seeing these increases. But let me give you the raw numbers. So in Washington, D.C., this school district, they saw a 108% increase since 2017, 2018. But now keep in mind, I'm going to give you the raw numbers. But before I do, here's the total number of enrolled students in the district, 88,626. So almost 90,000 total students. Total homeschooled in 2017, 469. 510 the next year. Right before the pandemic, 2019, 2020, it dipped down to 389. 2020, 21, 764. 21, 22 went up to 1126.
Wow. And
then it just dipped back down to 977 for the 2022-2023 school year. So while percentage-wise we saw this increase, it is still a little speck of a population that does it.
And in Pennsylvania, 126,000 students are homeschooled. 126,000.
Okay.
That's in Pennsylvania. I mean, that's significant in Pennsylvania, K through 12.
Okay.
So here's what I'll just say to you about this. It is growing because people, and to your point about Bucks County, I mean, I could talk to Dana Hunter. You mentioned Meg Brock. Meg Brock, I asked her that on the air one time, and she said, yes. She goes, I'm fighting for not just my family and my kids and my community, but to Greg's point, I mean, that's why she is sticking her neck out. And by the way, they sued her because she filed freedom of information requests.
Which you have a right to do.
Anybody has a right to do.
That's correct.
But she's been dragged through the courts. I mean, it's the harassment and the threats. And so it's why in your local school boards right now, Bucks County, these Republicans, the dirty tricks that are happening to them, all they're trying to do is just do what exactly Greg said.
Yep.
Offer this public education that, by the way, you as a taxpayer, you pay for it, you deserve it, your kids deserve it.
All right, morning
it should
mystery,
not be politicized.
Morning mystery movie clip in just one moment. Let me bookend it with a call before and then a call after as well. Let me grab, hopefully I don't butcher this, Amadeo in Cherry Hill. Amadeo, did I destroy your name? I'm sorry.
No, it's close. Amadeo.
Amadeo.
That's good.
Okay. What's
Yep.
going on?
No, I just live in Cherry Hill. I have 4 kids. Homeschool 2 of them. They're in grammar school. I just called in to see if you guys had any questions you want to ask.
Well,
in particular.
let me ask you this: what was the experience like financially? Were you able to do this? What's the household dynamic? Are you married? Does the wife make a lot of money? Because it feels like a lot of people just don't have the financial privilege to be able to do this and devote the time and give up a job. But your thoughts?
No, I agree. I mean, it is a sacrifice. I mean, my wife's a registered nurse and she doesn't work anymore.
Okay.
So I mean, that's a good chunk of change we could be making every year.
Okay.
But
so she's the one homeschooling that while you work, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Did this happen during the pandemic? Because that's
it happened right before. We were doing both. We actually set up a homeschooling program while we were sending the oldest to daycare. Well, not daycare, but preschool.
Mm-hmm.
And then the pandemic happened, and then we were in a good situation to homeschool and pull them out of the preschool. And then we just continued with the homeschooling after that, too.
And how old are they now at this present time?
9 and 7.
Why
Go
two?
ahead.
Why 2 kids and not all 4?
Well, the other 2 were 3 and 1.
Okay.
All right, well,
And
that
where are
makes
they
sense.
as far as their social development skills and communication and interaction with others? Everything good there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the oldest is an extrovert through and through.
Okay.
She has no problem socializing.
All right.
The older ones are more of an introvert, but it's a personality thing. It's for every kid,
Yep.
different personalities.
How do
That's
they
all it is.
how do they socialize? Like kids in the neighborhood?
Well,
or?
Yeah, both. I mean, just about everything. I mean, the oldest was in soccer. Now she's going to do softball in the spring. She does piano. She's in the choir.
How do you do that
at
if you're
our
not in
church.
if you're not? Oh, it's part of your church.
Yeah, it's part of our church.
Oh,
in the
gotcha.
choir.
in New Jersey. I'm just wondering if it's like Pennsylvania, where your kids, you could still go to the local school if they wanted to do extracurriculars or sports.
I would imagine if you're paying the tax dollars, right, you should be
Sure.
afforded that privilege.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah,
especially what they pay in Jersey.
Oh my God, yeah. All right, good stuff from Amadeo in Cherry Hill. We'll get another call after the movie clip, but it's time for the morning mystery movie clip.
And now, the morning mystery movie clip on Kayal and Company. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Mira, they're setting up for tonight. The music competition for Dia de Muertos. You want to be like your hero? You should sign up.
My family would freak.
Look, if you're too scared, then, well, have fun making shoes. Come on, what did De La Cruz always say?
Seize your moment?
Show me what you got, muchacho. I'll be your first audience.
Miguel! Abuelita!
What are you doing here? You leave my grandson alone. Doña, please.
Think you know what it is? Be caller 12 at 855-839-1210, and you could win this great prize.
All right, once again, the great prize today, a $50 gift card to the Metro Diner. If you can identify that movie clip correctly, caller 12, 855-839-1210. Caller 12, $50 gift card to the Metro Diner. If you can identify the clip and our phone screeners can confirm that you have it right before you get on the air, and we will actually give them just a little bit of extra time because I want to take this call before we get to the break. But caller 12, $50 Metro gift card. Mark and Conshohocken, parents are fed up. You go right ahead, sir.
Yes. Hi. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Nobody's even taking into consideration all the violence that are in the schools.
Now,
I mean,
what extent violence are you talking about? Just fights, or are we talking about school shootings?
Fighting, shootings, kids attacking teachers. I mean, what kid in their right mind would excel in a school where there's constant violence inside and out? I mean, I was lucky. My kids went to a charter school. My son went from 8th grade to 12th grade, and my daughter went from K to 12.
Mm-hmm.
But in the Philly school district, they don't discipline the kids, not anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we from the shooting standpoint, we've kind of debunked that school shootings are more frequent than they used to be.
Social media.
That part's not true. But the fighting stuff. I mean, fighting's gone on forever. But you see a lot of these videos with these days, and this is my biggest concern with the fights. And I don't even know that the fights are happening at a higher basis. My guess is they are a little bit. But the reaction of everybody when you see a fight in a classroom is to immediately grab your phone and start recording it, go live on it. And then teachers also, what's a teacher to do in that spot?
And that's what makes it seem like it's happening all the time, because they're plastered all over social media accounts.
Yeah.
Because to your point, everybody they see a fight, they grab a phone. They're like, oh my God, schools this day
Nobody tries to break it up.
Are crazy.
Right.
It's like, I don't know, there were fights all the time in school when I was there.
Yeah. So it's interesting for sure. 855-839-1210. We'll come back, see if we have our winner for our mystery clip. We've got part 2 of the cut sheet and a lot more as we continue. Kayal and Company, Wednesday morning, Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
Hey, it's Rich Cioli. When it comes to all your home improvement needs, trust is everything. And that's why for years, I've been talking about the amazing work my friends Stephanie and Matt and the entire team at Emmons has done for me and my home. My roof, doors, windows, siding, and yes, remodeling projects. Emmons can bring that same quality of work to all of your kitchen and bathroom remodeling needs. Roofing, siding, windows, doors, and now baths and kitchens. Emmons is the Delaware Valley's one-stop shop for all of your home improvement needs. Call 856-556-3229 and get a free estimate, or go online to emmonsroofing.com, or even better, come visit the Emmons Design Showroom in Cherry Hill. emmonsroofing.com. It's about trust, it's about quality, it's about great work, and that's why me and my family have used them for basically every project we've done to improve our home. emmonsroofing.com.
Hi, this is Don Giordano. Are you concerned about your child struggling in school? Do they need more of a challenge? Now's the time to make the call to Kathy Ganna at New Hope Academy in Yardley and Doylestown. 800-300-0003. Let New Hope Academy transform your child's life forever by helping them now. For over 3 decades, New Hope Academy founder Kathy Ganna, a pioneering educator and entrepreneur who created the NHA model, has been utilizing state-of-the-art solutions to uncover ways where your child could avoid struggling and succeed. At New Hope Academy, there's a student-teacher ratio of 2-to-1, allowing for students to deal with many disorders, including high anxiety, social and emotional, and including bipolar. Do not wait. Remember, only the best teachers can work at NHA. Call for that no-obligation tour and consultation. 90% of NHA graduates pursue a college education. Call Kathy today, 800-300-0003. Online, newhopeacademy.net. Call New Hope Academy today, 800-300-0003.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 1039 FM.
A large fight turned into a deadly shooting in Bensalem. 1 teenager is dead and 2 others are shot. The Israeli Defense Forces take responsibility for a massive blast at a refugee camp in Gaza. The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry says 52 people were killed. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott secures a spot in the 3rd GOP debate.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
Wherever the road takes you this holiday, make it memorable in the ultimate driving machine. Step into the BMW X5 with capable performance, cutting-edge technology, and unmistakable presence. Or chart a different course in the BMW X3. With style and powerful all-terrain versatility, there's no limit to your adventure. Find your ultimate BMW X3 or X5 at the Road Home sales event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Lease a 2023 BMW X3 for $589 per month. Visit bmwcenters.com today.
I'm picturing this right now. I can't get this image out of my mind. We're just sipping a nice, cool limoncello, just delicious, over the hotel balcony, savoring the sunset beyond the Isle of Capri. Oh, I'm just imagining it. The Amalfi Coast, Positano, Sorrento, Capri. Join me next spring as we discover the wonderful sights in southern Italy with my friends from Conservative Tours. The Abbey of Monte Cassino, Pompeii. Just take in the ancient sights. And enough time, of course, to see the great sights in Rome, too, all while enjoying a gastronomical event for 12 days of touring. Olive oil production, mozzarella farm, wineries, tasting sessions. Can't wait for that. The group dining events they're known for are legendary. You can ask my friend Dom Giordano and his wife Ro. 5267, yes, that includes your airfare nonstop while supplies last. 5267. Oh, can you smell the lemon groves just outside the hotel window in Sorrento? Just go to conservativetours.com. You'll see my picture. Yes, my husband Larry Menti, Michael and David. It's our family, big trip of a lifetime. Join us, conservativetours.com. You'll see the full description, itinerary, all the information you need. You can call toll-free 888-733-9494. Italy's best-kept secrets, Puglia, charming villages. You'll see why so many Italians take their vacations in Puglia. So authentically Italian. Conservativetours.com. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Follow Talk Radio 1210 on Instagram and Facebook at 1210 WPHT.
Life's the same, I'm moving in stereo. Life's the same, except for my shoes. Life's the same, you're shaking like tremolo.
9:32, Kayal and Company rolling on live on a Wednesday morning. What's on the cut sheet part 2 coming up. Who on Twitter today? What's on tap for the Dawn Show? It's all still on the way. All right. I will say this. I can guarantee you this much, folks. This will go smoother this morning than it did yesterday. It might not be as funny. It might not lead to a downloadable Twitter clip.
Yeah.
But it will go as planned. And I've got my fingers crossed. Schwenksville we go. We have June with us here in November. June, welcome to November. Welcome to Kayal and Company. What movie clip did we play for you?
That was Coco.
Yes. Yeah, we triple checked to make sure that was the case. So, June, you have your $50 gift card to the Metro Diner, okay?
Great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for playing, and thank you for the guys in the back for making sure that we got the correct clip today. Correctly. Yes, I was getting texts saying, oh, I know what it is today, and I guarantee you it's this. And, of course, everybody that's texting is not eligible to play. All right, cut sheet part 2 coming up in just a moment. But I did say there was another story in the world of schools, so to speak, or colleges, and I think this is great. We've talked a lot about protecting female sports. Riley Gaines, kind of the poster child, if you will, of biological females having their world turned upside down, all to appease the feelings of people like Leah Thomas, who for some reason believe that they are actually a female or want to become a female and therefore should be able to compete, even though as biological males, against females in the world of college athletics, Title IX, all of that. Speaking of the number 9, 9 governors have sent a joint letter to the NCAA to protect women's sports, which I think is a great sign. I don't believe this should be a partisan issue. This should be bipartisan. For the most part, I think it is. We see some of the polls from the Gallup poll and the Washington Post. 72% of Americans believe that men should not be able to compete against females in sports. But, of course, the resistance comes from the vocal minority. But you have a lot of governors from red states that have signed this letter, which includes Kristi Noem from South Dakota, Greg Abbott from Texas, Sarah Huckabee Sanders from Arkansas, Tate Reeves of Mississippi, Mike Parson from Missouri, Greg Gianforte from Montana, Joe Lombardo of Nevada, Kevin Stitt of Oklahoma, and Mark Gordon of Wyoming, as they have penned this letter in support of women's sports remaining just that, women's sports, which I think is really a great thing. And I think we were just talking about school choice and homeschooling, if you have a daughter, and I've got twin girls, and they're very competitive. Olivia, a little bit more so than Mia. Olivia, I would say, and I don't think I'm not one of these guys who says, oh, my kid's going to be in the NFL and make believe. Like, that's not me. But like Olivia, I think legitimately has a chance to get a scholarship for dance. Now, luckily, she doesn't compete in a competition where she's competing directly physically against other boys. But dance, you have boys, you have girls, you have all sorts of mixed competitions. But if my daughter was in swimming or basketball or volleyball or any physical endeavor where you could actually inflict pain on somebody else, or, let's face it, biological men are taller usually, stronger, faster, better fast twitch muscles. I mean, it's not up for debate. It's science. Of course, you have guys like, Valdez who could lose to females in all sorts of sports. But, for the most part, men usually beat women most of the time. But I think this is a good thing. And to be honest, I would love to see more Democratic governors get on board with this as well, because to my knowledge, it looks like almost all of those states are Republican-led governors, unless I'm missing something here. No,
you're right.
With those. So.
It's unfortunate that it's politicized like this.
It is, because it's not a politics thing. It shouldn't be. Like, we have branches of athletics based on weight classes, based on age groups. I mean, it logically makes no sense. Like, let's say you have a baseball league for kids, and let's call it the 10 to 12-year-old bracket, right? Should a 14-year-old be able to play against the 10 to 12-year-olds? No, because they are more physically mature and better and should be more advanced. Same thing with a biological male and a female. We've had this conversation a million times, but I just wanted to pass along the news that these 9 governors have sent this joint letter to the NCAA, which, by the way, if you're a fan of college athletics, the NCAA is about as corrupt as it gets. Yep. And I think if you're a sports fan, you know that. So there you go. All right, 9:37. It's a Wednesday morning. Let's find out what we got on the cut sheet part 2, shall we?
What's on the cut sheet?
Part 2. What's on the cut sheet part 2, sponsored by Delaware Valley BMW Centers. Now through November 30th, that's the end of the month, during the BMW Road Home Sales Event, receive a credit of up to $3,000 on select models like BMW X3 and the X5. For details, visit your local Delaware Valley BMW Center or go to bmwcenters.com, bmwcenters.com. Do it today. Thank you, BMW, Delaware Valley BMW Centers, for sponsoring What's on the Cut Sheet Part 2. Yesterday, Joe Rogan dropped a Halloween episode of his podcast, and his guest was Elon Musk. By the way, I listened to, I think I'm about 90 minutes into this interview. It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's a long interview. I gotta say, it's there's a point in it where they're ordering pizza and they're eating pizza on the air, and all you hear is,
oh yeah,
and they drink during it, and you can hear Elon Musk taking sips and go like that. It's just, and I don't know. It's not
good.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Elon Musk is a terrible interview.
He is.
He's painful to listen to. And I've said on this, and God bless him, he's carved out a niche. He makes more money than I'll ever make. I don't understand what makes Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan does not give you an opinion that is any different or any different packaged in some sort of way. I'm like, wait, this guy makes millions of dollars? Like, honestly, God, I think I would destroy Joe Rogan when we're like skill set versus skill set. I don't think he can touch me.
I would agree with you.
I'm just saying.
I would agree with you. But there's something about his podcast that people just love.
Maybe it's just so it's so organic that there's no it's just so raw that people just I don't know.
Is that it? Do you think that's it?
I think a lot goes into it. Like my teenage sons, I think that who is attracted? I know moms who listen to it. I know my teenage sons listen to it. So he has a broad audience of opportunity because of his background.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's the MMA thing.
He's been a UFC.
Or UFC, whatever.
And I didn't even know this. He's a comedian as well?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
where
how he
I knew him.
started.
Yeah,
Wow,
he started as a comedian.
He's like the most unfunny guy I've ever seen. I don't ever see him laugh or smile.
Oh, no. His stand-up is great.
I got to check it out then.
Yeah.
Okay.
His stand-up is great. He was also on a show called News Radio in the 90s. I don't know if you remember that.
No.
It was with Andy Dick and I think Phil Hartman was in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Before Phil Hartman got killed.
So I think he has a relatability. He just comes off.
Is that what it is?
I think he comes off as the everyman,
Yeah.
and he's not too. He kind of just says what it is, so he's not. He doesn't toe anybody's line.
Well, I'll give him credit. He doesn't try to be the smartest guy in the room. He says the common sense thing, which I think it's like the opposite of Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek wants to let you know he's the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan just comes off like as a dude.
Well, what's interesting to me about him as a programmer is that I agree with you. That show would never work on radio because it's all over the place.
It's low energy.
I'd be screaming to him, quarter hours.
Yeah.
But there's an appetite for knowledge from him. Like, he's only interested in stuff. He's not interested in people who know what he knows or know, like, he wants smart people on there to discuss things that he doesn't know or he's interested in.
And Elon certainly is smart.
So there's something about him saying, like, teach me everything you know that is appealing to a listener, I believe.
Right.
And it's also the loose nature of it too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I would defy you to listen to, and I probably will because I'm a nerd and but I would defy you to listen to 2 hours and 41 minutes of that podcast. I just, and anybody who could sit through it, God bless him. But, it is what it is. Okay, so Elon Musk did have some interesting points, but they're better in sound bites. Like, this encapsulation that I'm going to do for you in about 5 minutes is way more interesting than sitting through the 2 hours plus of Joe Rogan and Elon Musk. Talking about Twitter and buying Twitter, he says that Republicans were suppressed at 10 times the rate of Democrats on Twitter. This is cut 8, Phil.
What was that like? Because that, to me, that was the most bizarre, was the Twitter files. When you let Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi and all those guys get in the Twitter, and the response where Matt Taibbi gets audited. I mean, which is just wild. I mean, it's just so blatant and so in your face.
Yeah, it's weird. No, I mean, the degree to which, and by the way, Jack didn't really know this, but the degree to which Twitter was simply an arm of the government was not well understood by the public, and it was whatever the official government. I mean, it was like Pravda, basically. It's a state publication is the way to think of old Twitter. It's a state publication.
And was the justification from their perspective that they are progressive liberals, they have the right intentions, it's important that they stay in power, the progressive liberals stay in government and power, because this is their...
There was basically oppression of any views that would even, I would say, be considered middle of the road. But certainly anything on the right. I'm not talking about like far right. I'm just talking mildly right. The people like Republicans were suppressed at 10 times the rate of Democrats. Now that's because old Twitter was fundamentally controlled by the far left. It was like completely controlled by the far left.
Yeah, we've known this. I didn't know the 10-to-1 ratio. That's the very interesting part of it. I figured at least 7-to-1, 8-to-1. And yeah, Jack Dorsey, I mean, let's face it, Jack Dorsey was honestly no different than Mark Zuckerberg as far as the way things were patrolled, so to speak, on Facebook. I'll tell you what, how long was that clip? Because that clip felt like 7 minutes. I'm guessing that was 90 seconds.
It was 90 seconds, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only thing that could be more painful than that is if Elon Musk was interviewing RFK Jr.
The information is interesting though. Like they talk a lot about life on Mars and how Earth started, and it's interesting conversation. There's a point too where Elon Musk drives a bulletproof vehicle.
It looked like one of the Batmobiles almost.
So Joe Rogan goes out to his like parking garage, and he takes his crossbow or his bow and arrow and shoots it.
Yeah.
It's really cool visually to see, but they should do more stuff like that rather than them eating pizza and interviewing them.
I know. Did they give a score review so they could appease Portnoy while we're at it?
They did discuss that.
Oh God,
they discuss that. Elon Musk, which I think is fascinating, has never heard of Dave Portnoy.
Wow.
So I think it's
crazy.
There's
an episode my son was listening to, and I listened to part of it. Who's the Sopranos? Remember on The Sopranos, he played Pussy on The Sopranos. That episode is hysterical.
Big
and he's
pussy,
like,
you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, big pussy, and
Yeah.
he was just, it's just funny.
Yeah.
It's just silly stuff. Him trying to sneak pot through airports or whatever. It's laugh out loud funny, but it's like you're saying, it's just random stuff.
It is. There's no format to it, which is I think is why people like it.
Right.
He says that I'm going to cut 18 here, Phil. He says that the doctors in Wuhan told him that ventilators were what was actually killing the COVID patients. Cut 18, Phil.
Well, 80% of the people they put on ventilators died.
Yeah. So, in fact, I actually posted about that because I called doctors in Wuhan and said, what are the biggest mistakes that you made on the first wave? This was early on. And they said, we put far too many people on intubated ventilators. So then I actually posted on Twitter at the time and said, hey, what I'm hearing from Wuhan is that they made a big mistake in putting people on intubated ventilators for an extended period. And that this is actually what is damaging the lungs, not COVID. It's the treatment. The cure is worse than the disease.
Wow.
And people yelled at me and said, I'm not a doctor. I'm like, yeah, but I do make spaceships with life support systems. What do you do?
I like that.
I twiddle knobs. I'm like, okay, great.
Interesting, right?
Well, and I'm sure Elon can have direct lines to certain people that the average person can't get that type of information or access to. At the very least, I think it would maybe exacerbate the lung issue that you are having. But the other mistake, too, that was made, and we know this now, and I think a lot of us knew it at the time, I mean, basically stuffing the elderly population in homes, in nursing homes. Like, I mean, COVID spread like wildfire in those places.
There's so many mistakes made during the COVID thing. You know, we started off the 7:30 segment talking about it, and it's getting worse. And the sad thing is that we haven't learned from it, and we'll make the same mistakes next time this happens. One more, he says that they're talking about the Sam Bankman-Fried trial, which is going on now, and George Soros and all that stuff. Cut 17 here, Phil.
You know, one often hears of the sort of George Soros boogeyman, but I mean, Soros actually, you know, he is, I believe, the top contributor to the Democratic Party. The second one was Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah.
So, and Soros, I don't know. I mean, he had a very difficult upbringing, and in my opinion, he fundamentally hates humanity. That's my opinion.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, well, he's doing things that erode the fabric of civilization. You know, getting DAs elected who refuse to prosecute crime. That's part of the problem in San Francisco and LA and much other cities.
In Philadelphia.
So why would you do that?
Was it humanity, or is it just the United States as a whole? I mean,
he's pushing things in other countries, too.
He's doing the
here.
same thing?
Yeah. Now, George at this point is pretty old. I mean, he's not
93, I think.
You know, he's basically a bit senile at this point. But I mean, he's very smart. And he's very good at arbitrage. You know, famously he shorted the British pound. That's sort of how I think he made his first money, was shorting the pound. So he's good at spotting, basically arbitrage, like spotting value for money that other people don't see. So one of the things he noticed was that that the value for money in local races is much higher than it is in national races. So the lowest value for money is a presidential race. Then next lowest value for money is a Senate race, then a Congress, and but once you get to sort of city and state district attorneys, the value for money is extremely good. And Soros realized that you don't actually need to change the laws. You just need to change how they're enforced.
Or no.
If nobody chooses to enforce the law, or the laws are differentially enforced, it's like changing the laws. That's what he figured out.
But is what's stunning that this trend, that people haven't pulled the brakes on this, and have it reverse course.
They're pulling the brakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Or not enforcing the law at all.
Yep.
But don't worry, Soros will be gone soon enough because I think he's 93, and it's not going to get better. That's right, because his son is even more left than he is, and he's got a lot of years left, folks.
Yep.
So get ready for that. By the way, what were they pouring there? That sounded like a
Scotch.
It's like a Bill Maher Club Random pour there.
Oh yeah, they smoke weed and They drink. It's a very laid back atmosphere, which I think is cool. If we could get away with that here, in Odyssey World headquarters,
I mean, look,
I would do it.
If I wasn't doing morning radio, I would pour a scotch halfway through my show as well.
They also let the cat out of the bag. They recorded at least that episode at like 11:30 at night.
Oh, okay.
So like it's not like they're doing this at 9:50 in the morning like it is right now.
Imagine sitting there at 12:15 a.m. trying to stay awake as Elon Musk is rambling on.
Yeah.
You better be on a substance, or else you're going to fall right to sleep.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. That it for the cut sheet?
That's it, yeah.
All right. That'll do it for what's on the cut sheet. We've got the Dawn Show just 9 minutes out. She's coming up at 10 o'clock, and we find out what's on tap at the top of the hour.
Yeah, there's Trump news. There's Governor Phil Murphy news. We'll update you on his outraged New Jersey and get the reaction, because there are a lot of people thrilled to hear that the wind turbine project is DOA, is canceled at this point. We'll update all of that. And then coming up at 10:05, we'll talk to Jim Hasher in Philadelphia. What does this mean as far as the opportunity to wipe out Republicans off of representation? And this is, a ton of people in Philadelphia. What does that mean with the working party? We'll talk to Jim Hasher, who's one of the candidates up for that. And then Beth Ann Rosica, she's going to fill us in the 11 a.m. hour. What is going on as far as across the region, especially the suburbs, at the local level, these grassroots level elections that many analysts in D.C. say have ramifications moving forward, will be a telltale for us moving forth into 2024.
Okay, Dawn Show coming up at the top of the hour as we wrap up a Wednesday, the first show of November with Who Won Twitter Today.
Who won Twitter?
An exile in Jersey wins Twitter. He says perhaps the fact that Rogan doesn't have an opinion and leaves it up to the audience is the secret to his success. You can get an opinion anywhere. It's an interesting point.
Well, no, Rogan
does give opinions.
He has opinions, but I think what this guy meant to say in the tweet is when he has his guests on, he lets his guests talk.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have we talked about on this show how you have a guest on and you're talking over them and well, this is why. Like, the point of having the guest is for the other perspective, or an elaboration on the same opinion presented differently. To Rogan's credit, he does let his guests talk. It's not like that old school 1990s radio where you're always interrupting and talking over your guest. If that's the case of having a guest, what are you having them on for then?
Yeah,
right?
It's very conversational too. It's like a back and forth, and it's not to their credit. It's not trying to score the best every quarter hour. You know what I mean? As we do here in the radio biz, it's not trying to say everything shocking at whatever to keep a listener's attention. They're just having a conversation. So.
That's correct.
And also, they're not measured by anything but downloads.
Right.
So, like, their success is different than our success.
Yeah. The only person that has it easier as far as measuring the success of a show is Tucker Carlson on X, because you can just scroll right by on your timeline, and that'll count as a view, and you might not have actually consumed any of it.
Exactly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Good life if you can get it, if you can monetize it. All right, that'll do it for us on this Wednesday. Stay tuned. The Dawn Show's coming up at 10 o'clock. We're back tomorrow morning at 6, and as Karine Jean-Pierre would say,
I'll see you tomorrow. Come talk to me.
You've heard me talk about Chapman windows, doors, and siding for years now. I think the world of the Chapman family team, Mike and Mark Chapman, great guys, brothers, started their business about 30 years ago in Chester County. Love my patio doors, love the window replacements they've done, and just opening up, especially my foyer area. Whatever that looks like for you, just so you know, they do customization work as well. So whether it's windows, doors, interior doors, exterior doors, look at their front door makeover, siding, stucco remediation. You can take a virtual tour at ChapmanWindowsDoors.com and just see all the great work they do and maybe give you some ideas. But, check out when you're taking that virtual tour on ChapmanWindowsDoors.com, the Nana, N-A-N-A, the Nana wall product. Just this stunning wall of glass doors and windows, brings the light in. It's something else. It's beautiful, I think. And then they offer the premium architecture shutters designed to last a lifetime, historically accurate with that lifetime warranty. I'm always raving about the Chapman difference